welcome, and let's get to this party started and let's get going. First off, we have Dr. Nancy Walton, the Associate Dean of Student Affairs at Graduate Studies. I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen so she can't see you.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for the invite and welcome everyone. So nice to see a lot of faces. And for those of you who don't have your cameras on, welcome. If you feel like turning the camera on briefly and saying hi, that's great. Again, my name is Nancy Walton. I'm the Associate Dean for Student Affairs in the Yates School of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, which now you are also a member of. I'm a faculty member at TMU. I've been here for about, without dating myself, about 21 years. And I'm here to bring you a warm welcome, both to TMU, to the Creative School, and to the Yates School. I always talk a little bit at orientations about my orientation to graduate studies at a university a bit west of here. And unlike, I think, how many people are here right now? 80 something, more than that, 90 something. I was in a graduate cohort of 2 students. It was a brand new program. And so brand new, it was in bioethics, that they didn't even really have a building. They had an office in a church that was not a church anymore, but hadn't yet been renovated to be an academic space. So this other student and I arrived at this big wooden church door and kind of went, what are we getting ourselves into? Knocked at the door because it was locked. And then someone came and heaved it open and said, oh, are you the new master students? We're like, yes, I think so. Yeah, and on we went. One of the things was being a new program, a brand new program. Shane, that was the other, my other peer, and I got to really help shape the program. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But the one thing that was important is that after we both did our master's and our PhD in bioethics, and we did it together. Shane, other people obviously joined the program. It wasn't a cohort of 2 forever, but we stayed close. Shane did not go into academia. Shane went into not-for-profit, has done a bunch of really cool work with a number of organizations, both national and international, but we've stayed good friends. We've been there when we've had kids, been there when we've had partners and breakups from partners and all the life events that people have. And so the reason I'm telling you all that detail is to say, look around on Zoom. You'll meet a lot of these people in person, I hope soon. These are your supports. Shane and I were each other's supports during the program, and continuing that when we were making difficult life decisions about, what about this job? What about this? We were there for each other. So these people who you don't quite know yet will be your supports for the program and beyond. It is exciting to be at TMU. Even though I've been here 21 years, I still love it here. I have my days, but I still love it here. And mostly I love it because of the programs and the graduate students that I get to deal with, and the inspiration that you bring. I think there's a lot going on here. We started with a name change 2 or 3 years ago. And I think some of that has propelled some other really positive change, which I hope that you will feel that you can be a part of. I'm sure you've done a lot of research to get here, and you bring a rich diversity of course experiences in academia and industry and the arts and life. And probably many of you have a good idea about how to create the conditions for your own success. But for others, it might be a more exploratory journey to figure out what you need to thrive. And part of that, figuring that out, is part of the graduate journey. What I can tell you is that from my experience, I've been in this role, I'm entering my 5th year as Associate Dean, is I know that the folks at the Creative School, you've met Daniel, maybe a few others, are really committed to your success and committed to helping you navigate through the good stuff and the bad stuff, the challenges. And it is a collaborative process to help you achieve your success. So lots on you, but some is on us too, and we want to work together. I would encourage you to do 3 things. The first one is find out where the information is that you need on an ongoing basis. I don't mean staying up at night reading policies, but if you do want to do that, that's fun, go ahead. But looking for things that you need, not knowing, everyone doesn't know things, but not knowing and not knowing where to look, not okay. If you don't know where to look, ask. Just ask questions. Don't be afraid to go to the faculty members who you'll meet in your classes, to Daniel and the other administrators who have knowledge of everything across the university, and your graduate program directors. They're all good resources, and no one should say to you, Why are you asking that question? I hope they don't. I don't think they will. I think they'll say, how can I help you? They can all direct you to the answers you need. And the big questions, the small questions, they're happy to help you with. But the key is to reach out. Second, I would advise you to get involved as much as you feel you can. I know that we all have complex lives and you have many competing responsibilities. Some of you may be parents, caregivers, you have other responsibilities in your life, other activities that must be priorities. But getting involved even a little bit helps you build those supportive relationships that I talked about with the community that you're in. The third thing I'd say is just try to learn about your limits. Be kind to yourself when you need a day to step back and focus on your own wellness. Figure out how to do that. It's important to figure that out at the beginning, but being kind to yourself is part of that. If something isn't going well, reach out early. I'm sure Daniel will can reiterate this, but don't wait until things get really bad to reach out. So sometimes if one thing's going wrong, not just in academic life, but in life in general, one thing goes wrong, and then another thing starts to go wrong, and then just it feels like a spiral. But if that one thing's going wrong, reach out. You are likely not the only person who's had that problem, and even if you are, we'll figure out how to help you. So reach out early so that we can help you strategize and know your options, that sort of thing. There's lots of resources available, not just in the creative school, but outside of that. Here at the Yates School, in the Center for Excellence in Learning and Teaching that you're going to hear from probably today, a library, student wellness. And so these are all resources that are available to you, but it's hard to know where they are until you ask and someone directs you and says, go talk to them, they'll help. We also run events at the Yates School, which I hope to see as many of you at as you feel like coming to. Lots of different kinds of events. Some are career focused, some are very much professional development focused, and we've shifted a little in the last years to have more fun events, events focused on wellness. We have a long-standing Future Smart program, and this is where you take workshops from across the university. You get a little notation for each workshop, and you get a Future Smart certificate, which is attached to your transcript. And we have events put on all year by something called the Graduate Leadership Institute, which exists in the Yates School. And you can hear all this. You'll get a one pager on it, and there's links to go to. So just take it in for the moment. Graduate Leadership Institute, again, housed in the Yates School, does all kinds of pretty cool events on leadership generally, on mentorship, on developing your own leadership, developing your brand, that sort of thing. Things that probably you already have skills in, but from maybe a different perspective. The library also offers lots of workshops that I'm sure you'll be told about, some that are probably relevant to you, some not, but you also have dedicated librarians for subject areas who can help you with thinking through things, even whether you're thinking about research data management, et cetera, et cetera. There's all kinds of those resources. And at the Yates School, we also offer a series of workshops over the year. And they used to be part of a workshop series called Grad Skills. These are workshops focused on things, helping graduate students navigate things like communication, managing conflict, building strong working relationships with your supervisor, and even building your brand. So these are extracurricular. You're welcome to come attend how you feel you want to attend, and you'll get notifications about these things, and you can decide what you want to take part in. As I said earlier, we're also focusing a little more, I think, on wellness. And we have lots of workshops and sort of events tailored to that. One is a series called Thriving in Action. We started this last year, and it's hosted by Diana Brecher, who is a faculty member in psychology. Thriving in Action is a series tailored for grad students to think about things like mindfulness and your time management. How do we think about mindfulness in reading and writing and editing and doing whatever creative work we're doing, exploring the importance of self-compassion and optimizing your strengths to help you move through grad studies. So it sounds all very, maybe a little nuanced, but actually the students who took it last year found it really, really helpful. They came back, they loved it. And we also have something called Grad Art Break. This is the most fun thing. We go outside, we paint rocks, we do rock pour painting, we do acrylic pour painting, we're doing erasure poetry, we do all kinds of fun things. There's always food. We have an art therapist on our staff in the Yates School, so she does all kinds of funky things. We do mindful stenciling. We built succulent gardens last year. These are free to you to come to if you feel like not doing your work and building a succulent garden. we have the place for you to do that. And you know what? Some days that's actually a good thing. So we're running that's called Grad Art Break. We're running that this year. We're also going to run a Grad Art Hive, which is a drop-in, come in, have a piece of pizza or some food. There's all kinds of art supplies and do whatever you feel like doing. The last thing we're running this year that's new is called Designing Your Life. This is a design approach to life and career planning. Some of you may be familiar with it because it really is about a design approach. We're running a couple of workshops on this. These are really exploratory workshops for you, thinking not just about career planning, but planning a career within your life. And I know this is your first day of orientation to your program, but many of you are also thinking about how's this program going to get me through to my life? And where am I going to go after? So this is going to help you start to think about that. The last thing we have this year that's new is called Grad Peer Support. And this is a new program. You'll probably get something about this in your email to apply to be a grad support champion or just take part in the program. We're just pulling it together so you'll get information about that. So how do you find out about all these things? The first thing is just to go to torontomu.ca /graduate. And there's the art break. Thank you, Livia, in the chat. All the events are actually there. The other thing is to sign up for Grad News. And I'm sure Daniel will provide that link at some point. Grad News is an email digest that comes to you every other Tuesday. I know you're going to delete a lot of emails. You're going to get emails and go, delete, 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 delete. Don't delete Grad News. So Grad News not only gives you news about stuff going on, it also gives you news on funding, money, cash prizes, cash contests we run, all kinds of stuff where it may benefit you. So sign up for Grad News. You get it, like I said, every other Tuesday, and it's got lots of information. We also do profiles on grad students, so you also find out about your peers. Grad Central is in your learning management system. So when you go online to go into your courses, you'll also see something there that's called Grad Central, and that's got all kinds of places to sign up. So you have lots of ways to find out about stuff. We do have a pretty active social media presence. On Insta is where we are actually pretty active the most. And we post all our events there and all our things like that. And also we'll give you a digital one pager that we'll give to Daniel to hand out that has links to all the things I talked about. So all that to say, you probably already know grad programs are intense across every discipline. There's an intensity to grad programs, and that's kind of part of the experience. It takes a lot of self-motivation, a lot of drive, a lot of passion, and a lot of that got you here, right? And doing it on top of what I would say real continued challenges in the world, to put it mildly, means you have to find a way to take care of yourself and take advantage of the supports that we hopefully provide to you. Mental health and wellness is key. We know that many people struggle and that they want to find ways to be resilient, to connect, but it can be tough to do that. So if you are comfortable reaching out, we are happy to meet up with you, to chat with you, to figure out what you think you need to set the conditions for your own success and how to keep your tank at least half full, if not full. I'm going to end here because you're going to get a lot of information from a lot of people. You'll get some information from Daniel from us, and just to say that it's my first orientation of the fall. I don't actually want to count how many I have for the next 2 weeks. So I wish you all the best for your graduate careers here at the Creative School. And it sounds trite, but I do mean it when I say your success is our success. So hopefully that's starting off by pulling this program together for you today and showing us showing you that we really it matters, that you feel supported, that you feel included. I hope to see you at many of our events and workshops, and to reach out if there's ever anything we can do for you. And have a great afternoon. Thanks, Daniel, for the invite.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Nancy. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, everyone. So next, let's see the share now. There we go. So our next participant, or next presenter, I should say, is Dr. Jean Bruce. She's the Associate Dean of Graduate Education here at the Creative School. So I believe she's in the call, so I'm just going to stop sharing this time. There we go. Jean, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Daniel, and thank you, Nancy, for your words of wisdom. Um, we have a lot of people who are here for you in the entire university, and I would have to say that Daniel and Nancy are two of the best possible people you can have on your side. They can help you with so many things, so keep that in mind. I am sort of the in-between person in many ways. I'm the Associate Dean of Graduate Education for the Creative School, the faculty where all of the graduate programs you're entering into are housed. So welcome to the Creative School. I'm sure you'll hear that many times, and welcome to your individual programs as well. I really am delighted to share in the beginning of your journey here at Toronto Metropolitan, specifically in our creative and professional programs in the Creative School. And I want to congratulate each of you on taking this big step towards an important milestone, which is a graduate degree. I know, I still remember how that felt, and it was a very big milestone for me, and I hope it will be for you, and that you take it both seriously and have fun. It's important to have serious fun in graduate school because you want to dive deeper into the discipline that you already know that you like, or spread your wings and discover new things in another discipline. So whether you're pursuing a master's or a doctoral degree, you will already have many achievements that brought you here to this day. So I applaud your resolve to begin what Nancy sort of alluded to, what might be in these times a potentially even more challenging and unknown endeavor than it was even a few years ago. We've had multiple challenges in the last several years. But fear not, we have many exciting things in store for you and many ways to support you, some of which Nancy has already mentioned. Not only that, but your graduate degree itself will help you prepare for the endless possibilities in our ever-changing world, and you will earn a distinction that very few people have, a graduate degree. It's a distinction that's not possible for many people, for a number of ways. So be mindful of that privilege, but also embrace that privilege. Whatever your degree is in this current path, your brief time with us will have an enormous impact on your other destinations. The opportunities that you encounter here are ones that you will earn. They will come with expectations as well as responsibilities, and they will invite you to fulfill personal goals and other kinds of goals, such as the public good. You are becoming even more well-equipped to confidently embrace what may come with the knowledge, creativity, and talent that a great education provides. This is part of what we offer to you and how you can also educate yourself. This is a collaborative journey. It's a collaborative process, and one that is unique to you. So I would like to ask you to think about what education means to you. You will no doubt have expectations based on your prior experiences, and that's natural and good. But graduate school would be different, especially if you're coming from outside of our university. From the creative school faculty side of the equation, education broadly refers to our commitment to you in terms of the teaching, supervision, advising, and other supports. But historically and etymologically, the word education comes from the Greek, and it has two distinct but related components. And I want to share these with you today because I think they're worthwhile keeping in mind. So these two distinct words are educare and educare. So the first one, the educare, means to lead out in Greek. It's an implicit invitation for you to lead you to explore other things, to perhaps go places that are unfamiliar to you, unfamiliar ideas. The second, educare, means training and care. We take our responsibility to both halves of this definition of education seriously. Some of these things will be addressed by others today, but one thing I'd like to do is invite you to take part in the variety of offerings outside of your program curriculum, whether these are special guest speakers or other events. In fact, we will be having a speaker to share their research and practice in the next month or so, and we will provide you with details about this alumni speaker event as soon as they are finalized. Meanwhile, areas we have been working on involve both educare and educare, and these are co-curricular enhancements and student supports. These are in person and online, things like grant writing, mentorship possibilities, being a good TA or GA. Of these enrichments, I'm including something that I've developed called Method Minutes. And so keep your eyes out for that, because you will be learning specific research skills aimed at extending your own knowledge and supporting your thesis project. And that those will be really useful. Some of them are hands-on, some of them are more theoretical or philosophical, but they're very useful, and they're definitely educational in the sense that they will lead you to new ideas. There will be program-specific orientation for our 10 graduate programs, plus one, which is a joint program with TMU and York that is under the auspices of Nancy's office and YSGPS. But we have these 10 programs, and I'm just going to quickly list them for those of you who are not in the other programs that are there. So we have media production, fashion, professional communication, journalism, documentary media, film and photography, preservation and collections management, digital media, communication and culture, which I've just mentioned, and a new Master of Interior program with a 2-year Master of Interior program coming up soon. And our wonderful PhD program, which is in media and design innovation. So that is really all I wanted to say to you about orienting yourself towards graduate study. Finally, I want to extend an invitation to you to contact me or your program directors if you have questions, concerns, or even suggestions. We're really happy that you've decided to join us for this important part of your educational journey, and I will be in touch with some of you later who decide to become more involved as, let's say, student reps. So enjoy your journey and keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you very much. Excellent. Our next presenter is Mira Govidasamy from Student Life and Learning Support. Mira will tell you a little bit all the resources available to you there. Mira, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to speak to you all today. I actually graduated from the Communication and Culture program in 2019, and I am still here. That's my villain origin story in working in learning support, is starting a communication and culture. So maybe some of you will even get to work in supporting undergraduate students in some of the resources that I'll mention today. So I'm here to talk mainly about learning support and the Tri-Mentoring program. This is my email if you ever want to get in touch with me. I'm quite easy to find. And then I'm sure, Daniel, you're welcome to share my email with folks as a follow-up if anyone wants to get in touch. And I'm sure we'll share the slides again at the end of the day today as well. So knowing that you're feeling probably a little overloaded with information, I always say, you don't need to remember everything that you hear today. You just need to remember how to find the resources and know that it exists. So that's the takeaway from me if you forget everything that they say after this. So my role is the academic engagement specialist. So I work in mainly study skills as an area of learning support, but I also work really closely with the writing and language support team and the graduate student support team, as well as with my colleagues in the Tri-Mentoring program. So just to give you a bit of a broad level overview of the services in student life and learning support, Learning support and tri-mentoring both fall under this umbrella. I'm going to focus on those two programs because we have the most to offer to graduate students in particular. But we also include international student support and student life and campus engagement. So if you're an international student, I highly recommend that you reach out to international student support. They have a lot available to you in the way of even immigration advising, maybe some higher level questions about doing your taxes as an international student, potentially working here. But I will leave that as another conversation. Okay, so the tri-mentoring program. It's called the tri-mentoring program because it includes a suite of 3 different types of mentorship. So it includes one-on-one mentorship, group mentorship, and career mentoring. And there are 2 ways that graduate students and postdoctoral students can really be involved in this program. So the first is through the Grad Mentors program. So I know you are really just beginning your graduate student journeys, or perhaps you're here starting your PhD. But we think you probably have a lot to offer undergraduate students who are interested in pursuing some kind of graduate education. So this is an opportunity for you to act as a mentor to undergraduate students who are considering pursuing additional education, and they want to learn maybe about the application process, perhaps about the grant application process. Maybe they just want to talk to somebody about their experience, or about how to select a supervisor, how to figure out which school they might be best suited to. So we invite you to register as a mentor in that program. And as you can see, sign up will be starting around September, so you can keep an eye out for that. And it's all through the People Grove website. So that's a QR code that should take you there. But if you just search People Grove TMU, you'll find the right website as well, with lots of opportunities on there. The second way is through career mentorship designed to support graduate students. So this is really like higher level mentorship for students who are entering a grad an MA or a PhD program, and they're looking to be paired with someone who is a professional in a field that they're interested in. So the tri-mentoring program does an excellent job reaching out to community contacts and professionals in a whole bunch of different industries. So if you're interested in connecting with someone and developing that kind of mentorship relationship throughout your time as a student, I also suggest signing up for this program, and hopefully you'll be matched with someone. It looks like around late October is when that would happen. And the recommended meeting time, although it really ends up being, very much up to the mentor and the mentee, is usually about twice a month. So it's not a huge time commitment, but it's an opportunity to begin developing some professional relationships outside of your graduate program. Just to focus here now on learning support. So we have 4 different areas to support you. Some of these are really specifically focused on supporting graduate students, so that'll be my focus. Okay, graduate student support. People get confused about this because it is such a broad general name, but really what this is writing support specifically designed to support the needs of graduate students. So it's for students who are enrolled in any master's or PhD program. I used this service a bunch when I was a student. And, it can be support with papers that you're working on. Maybe you're submitting an abstract for the first time to a conference. Maybe you're writing a longer, more involved literature review, or developing a proposal for your dissertation, and you need to have that approved, or any variety of the types of writing that can be quite different and specific to graduate education. There are a bunch of different ways that graduate student support can be of service to you. So first, that's one-on-one appointments, and those are offered in person and online. So you can book really at your own convenience, and they're offered at a huge variety of times as well. We offer dissertation coaching, which I'll talk a little bit more about. We have a weekly coffee and writing group. I know that one of the biggest challenges of graduate education is feeling isolated. A lot of what you're going to be doing in the next couple of years is, feels really independent, and it's about sitting by yourself and getting a lot of writing done. So in terms of graduate student support, we really try to offer community and community goal setting and support just to help you get through that writing process. We also, in the same vein, offer the Graduate Write-a-thon every April. So that's like a full day of the writing group. And we offer free coffee, snacks, and lunch that day, again, to help fuel your writing process. I think I might be, oh, perfect, you're posting links. I thought I was going over time, but I'm a fast talker. We also offer the Graduate Research and Writing Institute, which I will talk more about. We have in-class workshops, so it's possible that you will see the folks from graduate student support in your classes, maybe talking about specific types of writing assignments that you might be asked to complete. And we have a variety of online resources for you that you can access anytime. So quick reference guides, perhaps you're doing a type of referencing that you were not previously familiar with, for example. So Coffee and Writing is every Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m. I think, don't quote me on this, I think they're bringing the group back in person this year. Previously, it's been online, or they might be offering it 2 different ways. But I can't recommend this enough. This is the best way to feel like no matter what else happens in the week, you spent 3 hours writing for sure. So I always cleared my schedule to make it to Coffee and Writing. The Graduate Write-a-thon, here's a picture from pre-pandemic, but we still have our post-pandemic numbers. So it's a chance to build community and write with other people. Like I said, we offer food, we have a bunch of coffee throughout the day, and we always add up the total number of pages written and edited throughout the day, just to make ourselves feel good, like we wrote a whole bunch when you look at everybody's writing numbers. So you can see in 2023, we wrote 190 pages altogether. And, we averaged that out to guess that that was about 57,000 words altogether. Dissertation coaching. This is a really great resource for anybody in their PhD. Again, we know that your writing needs change as you go on in your education. So if you're a PhD student, we know you're probably already an excellent writer. Maybe one of the biggest challenges is just the mental hurdle of what it is to write for so long and such a huge amount. So a dissertation coach can work with you on developing a writing plan and setting writing goals. They provide accountability to you. They can tailor feedback to your writing approach. They can chat with you about writer's block, productivity, responding to feedback from your committee members and your supervisor, and tackling some of those higher level challenges that you'd have at writing in that stage. The Graduate Research and Writing Institute, you can look out for this in November. This is really a full day of workshops related to graduate level writing. Some of it is particularly tailored to students who maybe haven't done academic writing and research in a Canadian context. So we have a session about standards of writing at a Canadian university for folks who might be unfamiliar. We talk about MRP thesis and dissertation writing. In the past years, we've had really excellent panels about working with committee members and supervisors and negotiating those relationships. How do you respond to feedback? How do you deal with difficult feedback? And then other conversations about scholarly research skills. So I highly recommend looking out for that as well. Okay, and then I just wanted to highlight a couple of resources under writing and language support as well for you folks. So like I said, graduate student support is really the main resource that you as graduate students will use because it's writing and language support tailored to graduate students. But writing and language support in general can also be used by graduate students. But mainly I would highlight 2 resources, and mainly they would be for students who use English as an additional language. So if that's you, I would still recommend booking with writing and language support because you can book a grammar and supported self-editing appointment, as well as a listening and speaking appointment. So I would always suggest graduate student support for your writing needs. But if you just have some quick questions about grammar, you could book this type of appointment. Or if you have an oral presentation coming up, or you just want to kind of practice your listening and speaking skills in English, these are great appointments for you to book. And I think I mentioned this already, all this is included in your tuition. So it's, you know, a great resource for you to access because it's something that you've already put money towards. Other things for students who use English as an additional language, we have a weekly English conversation group that happens on Wednesdays and Fridays. This is, again, just an opportunity to practice conversational English. It's free, it's a drop-in, you don't need to plan ahead, you can just show up. And I know that the folks who facilitate it really make it fun and a comfortable situation to practice English language skills. We also have the English communication support course. So this is a non-credit course. If you just want to kind of review English language skills kind of from a core skills perspective, this is a great resource. Conversational Connections is quite interesting. It's a program where folks who use English as an additional language can be matched with someone who is 65 plus from the Chang School, and really it is then the ball's in your court to develop that relationship and practice conversational English outside of an academic setting. A couple workshops that we have available. This is just really skimming the surface, but in terms of writing workshops that you can attend anytime, and you can register for these online on the Learning Support website. We have workshops about basics of referencing and citation. Maybe you've been out of school for a little bit and you want a refresher on that. Common grammar errors, critical reading for better academic writing, effective revision and editing, critical thinking and critical writing, writing a literature review, ethical scholarship and student writing, thesis statements, and a whole bunch more stuff, but that is just the beginning. And this is just a little snapshot of some of the handouts that we have online, different citation styles, some notes about writing a literature review, basics of referencing, critical writing, and then we have a few interactive e-learning modules as well. And I'm sure I'm out of time now, but I will leave you with this slide. And this just has some of our emails on it. So that's my email there. My colleague Chris oversees writing and language support as well as graduate student support. And then I'm sure none of you are planning any math or computer science needs throughout the semester, but if it happens, because it can happen to all of us, my colleague Deidre is always there to support you, and we have lots available in that department as well. So I will finish there.
Thank you, Mia. Thank you very much for all the great services. And yes, we'll share the slides and the presentation with you guys later. We'll add them to the orientation website, so you'll be able to access all those links and all the resources that Mira mentioned. Again, thank you, Mira. Excellent. Our next presenter is Alda Escareño. She's from the Senior Technologies, Creative Technologist, at the Design and Technology Lab. Alda, the floor is all yours.
Hi there. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to join you today because I feel like graduate students are the group of students that I get the least amount of face time for. You're often kind of like in your own graduate world. And so this is my one chance to kind of like give you the pitch on the Design and Technology Lab, let you know about all the resources that are here available to you. And maybe I can like lure you down here into the basement where I'm hiding. So let me get my presentation going. Oops, sorry. Give me 1 second. That was not sharing properly. Sorry, you have one summer and you completely forget how to do absolutely everything. Okay, there we go. So I want to actually like show you the space where I work because it's a really special place. And so I'm going to do that by playing a short little video. I hope you will indulge me here. The Design and Technology Lab is a creative technology-based workshop that supports research, scholarship, curriculum, and entrepreneurship activities across the creative school at Toronto Metropolitan University. The lab facilitates the use of and access to a wide range of equipment, always looking to evolve the role that this technology can play across disciplines. Having this variety of digital fabrication, scanning, as well as AR, VR, and XR equipment in one space offers a unique opportunity to explore, make, and prototype in a hands-on experiential learning environment. Our 8,300 square foot integrated workshop includes a woodshop space with a wide range of power tools and hand tools, a metalworking shop with MIG and TIG welding capabilities, 4 robotic arms, including a KUKA KR150 housed in our high bay, a Ricoh flatbed UV printer, a Stoll digital knitting machine, a wide range of 3D printers, including FDM, SLA, SLS, and binder jetting technologies, 3 laser cutters, including a Trotec Speedy 2000 with a 99 by 66 inch cutting bed, a 5 by 10 foot 3-axis CNC mill, a Tormac 4-axis milling machine, as well as a handheld shaper mill, a Rococo motion capture suit, 3D scanners, VR headsets, and drones. The Design and Technology Lab offers laser cutting and 3D printing through our online service bureau. Projects requiring the use of other hardware and software can be discussed during our open lab hours, when students can work in the space directly with our technicians. The lab also hosts weekly workshops year-round, focusing on a range of digital fabrication skills and equipment. Through an annual partnership with the Design Fabrication Zone, we also offer up to 10 student grants. Grant recipients receive $500 towards realizing their project goals, and the opportunity to work in the lab with hands-on support from our technicians. To learn more about the Design and Technology Lab, visit our website and follow us on social media.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Of course, it starts playing again. Give me 1 second. So the video covers most of the information about our lab, but I just want to touch up on a couple of things that were mentioned, but maybe dig into them a little bit. So the Design and Technology Lab is here to support access to digital fabrication technology. And sometimes this takes the form of us just like executing files through our, sorry, give me 1 second. Through our service bureau. Our service bureau is kind of like our online portal. You can connect to it online, you can submit files, and then we run the files for you. But sometimes it's, we're running workshops. It's an opportunity for you to be in our space and learn directly from our technicians. And we also do a lot of support for curricular endeavors with our working closely with different faculty members. So you may end up in a class that actually ends up doing like a section of the course down here, or there may be a project that is assigned that will take place down here. That's a little bit less common at the graduate level, but it's not unheard of. I have had graduate classes come through here. And maybe we play a really small role in the kind of work that you're going to be producing. Maybe you're like getting ready for your final whatever project or show, and you just need like a little casing for some electronics or to like hide or make a screen more presentable. And like, we are happy to help there, but we're also happy to support projects that are much more involved. If you want to come down here and work with projection mapping and work with a robotic arm and get really deep into the technology, we are also here to support that. As was mentioned in the video, we host something that we call Open Lab every Friday. This is a great opportunity to just pop your head in and maybe say hi to me. Maybe you have some questions about a future project. Maybe the project hasn't fully materialized, but you just need to bounce ideas off of someone and just see what's possible. Or maybe you're further along in your process and you actually have a file and you just want to go over it with a second pair of eyes and to see if it's actually going to be feasible. I love talking to students earlier on in the process, just so that we can kind of like catch any snags as early as possible, especially if it's a more involved project and we really need to talk about like timeline and budget and scheduling, all that kind of stuff. Definitely come in for a visit. We're going to start these probably around the second week of September. Once
all our calendar dates are kind of like fixed in. We will communicate them all through our social media and through our website. And if you're going to be doing work that's going to be more fabrication focused, I would really encourage you to be on the lookout for the grant call. So as was mentioned in the video, we give out a number of grants every year and they include both undergrad and graduate students. One change from what was in the video that we are right in the middle of adjusting onto our website is that instead of 10 grants, it's going to be 5 grants. It's a smaller number, but we are increasing the amount. So they're going to be $1,000 grants. And they are meant to support exciting, ambitious work. You want to come down here and you need support to realize it, to cover the material costs, and you get to work one-on-one with our technicians, learn how to use the equipment hands-on, and you get mentorship throughout the entire process. So in any sort of fabrication work, software help, you need to learn Blender from scratch, whatever it is, we're here to help with that. So if fabrication is going to be a big part of the work that you're going to be doing, I would strongly encourage you to just keep your eyes open for that. The call usually goes out around the end of October with a deadline of the beginning of December. Okay. And as was mentioned, we host workshops. This is another way to just kind of see if there is, if you just need some basic skills or if there is a fit for some additional techniques in your own process. We do workshops twice a week. Half of them are online, so they're a little bit easier to jump into. Let's say you just want to learn about the basics of laser cutting, 3D printing, 3D modeling. Those are the ones that we do online, so we can get as many people participating as possible. And then we do, the other half of the workshops are smaller format, in-person, hands-on, project-based workshops. So we have some really fun ones. We're doing, this is one workshop that we did with faculty members that we're going to be doing with students again. So it's going to be designing rings using Blender. So like hands-on learning how to use Blender and then 3D printing rings. We're going to be doing laser cut stamp making. There's another one for like digitally knitted pennants. So all kinds of fun kind of like individual projects. Those are around 3 or 4 hours, those workshops, and really kind of more in depth. They do have a small fee associated with them. But once our calendar is all finalized, they will be announced and shared again through our socials. And while I do encourage everybody to come down in person to Open Lab and get to know us and get to know our space, you also have the option to submit project requests through our website. So if you already have a sense of what you need to do, and it's not as simple as just like laser cutting or 3D printing, let's say you want to do some UV printing or you need to do some CNC milling, but you already have this project kind of like at least partially figured out, then you can submit a project request through our website outlining your project, timeline, budget, and connect with one of us directly, and we can kind of get the ball rolling on what needs to happen next. Okay. Finally, I want to point out a very robust section of our website. We've been working on it all summer, kind of like completely reinvigorating it. It's our resources section. If there is any aspect of the work that you're going to be doing, like you want to get into laser cutting, but you don't know how to kind of get started, or you don't know how to set up files, or you just want to understand 3D printing a bit more, we have put so many resources up on our website. This is the resource page right here. We have videos, quick start guides, in-depth docs for things like 3D printing, so you can understand the different kinds of 3D printing styles that we offer. For UV printing, how you set up files, how you use the different spot inks, that kind of thing. We also have templates and solutions to common issues if you're encountering an issue with 3D printing over and over again. A great place to kind of like take a look at some information there. I know it's a lot of information. There's a lot of aspects to what we do down here, but we are really just here to help bring your ideas to life. And we're happy to kind of plug into your process wherever it makes sense for us to do so. We are here to just answer questions, see if it's going to be a fit, or we are here to kind of like help you through a big build if that's what you're working on. On screen, I've been sharing just like a taster's menu of like some of the projects that have made their way through our doors. We actually have a full project archive on our website as well that I highly recommend you visit. Maybe it'll inspire you to kind of get started or start experimenting with some different techniques down here. But that's basically what I wanted to share with you. I'm happy to answer any questions if there's any burning questions about the lab. Otherwise, I am available and totally reachable at just alda@torontomu.ca. On our website, on the Design Technology Lab website, there is also a link to all the staff connect emails, and so you can also reach me through there. Okay, thank you so much.
So thank you very much, Alda. And I just want to mention, I was in that workshop that Alda mentioned about making the rings, and it was a lot of fun. So highly recommend you guys join the workshops. It's great to play with the machines, let's put it that way. Anyway, our next presenter is JP Silva. He's an instructor and associate director of zone learning. JP, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the opportunity to address everyone in this graduate orientation. First of all, I'd like to apologize. The hand gesture recognition keeps popping up, and I keep making the software keeps recognizing these the gestures, and I want to apologize for that. I don't know what's going on there, but every now and then it happens. But anyway, I hope I didn't really disturb anyone's flow or anyone's presentation. So I'd like to talk to you today about zone learning. It's something very unique to TMU. Although in a lot of ways, what we do at zone learning, you can recognize from already what the Creative School provides, what some institutions already provide. What is zone learning? It's this model of experiential learning where we encourage learners to apply the academic knowledge and skills to real-world challenges, projects, causes, and ventures. So as you can understand, it's something that is available to every student, every learner across TMU, not really only those from the Creative School, but everyone. And so because of that, through the zone learning opportunities and experiences, you'll get a chance to network and meet other graduate students and undergraduate students from other faculties, from other programs, and that will potentially provide opportunities for you to collaborate, for you to partner, for you to learn, for you to network, etc. So we offer these zone learning opportunities inside the curriculum as well as outside. So I'm going to give you two examples. One of them is inside the curriculum that you have access to this semester and next semester. The other one is outside that you can access at any point this semester or next, or even in the future, even once you graduate or you complete your graduate studies, because these opportunities outside the curriculum are open to anyone that is a TMU alumni. So the first one is within the curriculum, and it's a course to pursue a passion project. It's called DG 8116, and it's a graduate elective. As I mentioned to you, it's open to students of the Creative School in graduate programs as well as from other faculties. And it's available this semester as well as next. So you can enroll still for fall, or you can, if this semester doesn't really fit your schedule, you can enroll next semester. We've had students from 10 different master's programs across the university, primarily Creative School master's programs, but also from other faculties, as I mentioned. So it's created this very interdisciplinary, very multidisciplinary environment. And we had participants do projects that range from clothing, furniture, to podcasts, software, short films, community services, and a lot more. So this is an opportunity for you to work on a project that is related with your MRP or might be completely unrelated with the MRP. It's just an opportunity that you want to explore. It's an opportunity for you to join like-minded learners from across the university that are very driven, very curious, very creative. And it's also an opportunity for you to apply a lot of the knowledge, a lot of the talent, and a lot of skills that you have to a project of your own. You can start a project in the course. You can continue to work on a project that you already have. And so it's not really a very prescriptive course. It's essentially an opportunity that is very open-ended that you can use as an elective to work on something that's meaningful and very important for you. I'm just going to quickly scroll through projects that have been pursued by participants in this course in the past. This was a participant in the Masters in Digital Media that worked on a magazine, a digital and physical magazine, as well as a line of merchandise around their magazine. It's a magazine for creatives in the GTA. Another one was a student from professional communication that worked on a resource around brand identities and brand typographies and all of that. Then there was a student from interior design program that spent a semester working on their own ceramics and pottery practice and led to creating a number of products that they had then been selling to within the university as well as outside. These are some of the testimonials that you can get from past participants in this course. I'm just going to briefly read some. The entire experience was very eye-opening. It was amazing to be surrounded by other young creatives, as it was so cool to see the variety of projects within just one class. Another one was from a master's in professional communication. A huge breakthrough for me was realizing that so much of what has held me back, not just with this project, but with many other projects, is the character flaw of perfectionism. I'm so grateful for this course. It made me see that perfectionism is a significant cripple to innovation and success. Or lastly, a student in Master in Interior Design that said, I'm so thankful that I have been able to work on something I'm passionate about. I would say that other people feel the same. In other courses, you wouldn't be able to have this much freedom by dedicating your own direction to your projects. So this course, as I mentioned to you, is available both in fall and winter semesters. For this fall, there's 2 sections available. One is on Thursdays from 2 to 5, and the other one is on Fridays from 3 to 6. For winter, we still don't have a schedule, but most likely we will also have two sections available to you. Then we also have outside the curriculum a resource for you to pursue startups and nonprofits, or should I say commercial startups and nonprofits. It's called the Zones. And what are zones? Zones are essentially incubators for startups. So as a team year student, you have access to these zones. You can have access to them as just a regular student and you can attend their events, or you can become a member in the zones. And to do so, you need to pitch a project again, a startup, either commercial or non-commercial. There's about 10 zones on campus, focused on different industries. I would encourage you to grab that QR code to find out more about the zones. There's zones focused on media, there's zones focused on energy, there's zones focused on social ventures, there's zones focused on law and biomedical sciences. So they vary, there's quite a lot of range. So I would encourage you, based on what you'd like to work on, what is your startup idea, that you look into the variety of zones, and you then figure out what are those that could be of support to you. And I would encourage you to approach them and have conversations with them about what it is that you're looking for and how they could support you, so you have a sense of the range of services they can provide. I would say that there's quite a lot of services they can provide. They're all free of charge. So don't necessarily think of this being a cost to you, and that will hold back your participation, your involvement, your membership. More than 7,000 students, learners have been through the zones over the years. More than 5,000 startups have been created. More than $2.5 billion have been raised. So look at the zones as a space where you can start your venture, commercial or non-commercial, that you can meet, again, like-minded learners, students, that you can join a community that is ever growing. And you can, of course, build, launch, and grow your startup and get access to a lot more resources. Very quickly, just for you to have a sense of some startups that have been created by creative school students, a podcast series, a project that uses music to engage with the elderly and address social isolation. A student has worked, a member that has created an arts-based organization and engages with arts primarily from various groups. A student that has used the Zone and their project to bring together poetry and augmented reality and a lot more. So zones are open every day from 9 to 5. They feel free to attend their open events. Typically, you can check their web pages and check the events section to see what are some of the upcoming events. Some of them are also cross-listed on the TMU events page. So they tend to be free access, so you can just go there and see how these zones are inside, what they do, what their members are, and engage in conversations, and eventually build up the confidence to present, to pitch an idea for a commercial or non-commercial venture. And typically, once you do that, membership tends to happen on a rolling basis. So it doesn't necessarily fit within the sort of academic model where you can only apply in fall or winter, but typically all throughout the year. Just leave you the QR codes. So on the left, it's the course, an open elective for you to work on a passion project throughout the semester. On the right-hand side, it's the zones for you to work on something more than a passion project. It's typically an idea for a startup, for something you're going to incorporate, either as a commercial or non-commercial entity. The DG 8116 is only available for a semester, and it's a 4-credit course. The other ones, the zones, you can continue to use them even after you complete your studies. So that's essentially what I had to share today. I don't know if there's still time for questions, Daniel.
If there's any question, feel free to put them out there. I think we're going to take a break anyway at this point. So if there's any questions, by all means. Any questions, anybody, about Stone Learning? Going once? Going
There's
twice?
one guy in the chat.
I think he's talking about, let's see. Yes, okay. I'll talk about the electives and how to join the electives in the Q&A version. That's more like a general questions about how to add electives to your program. We'll talk about that at the end of the today and the Q&A.
Please, and if there's an interest in that specific elective, feel free to give them my email address, Daniel, and I'll be able to take it from there. Thank you so much for your time and your attention today, and have a great program and semester, and best of luck for your studies. Take care. Bye.
Excellent. Thank you very much, JP. All right, guys, let's take a really short break because we're running a little behind schedule, but let's be back at 2:15, if that's okay. Just like a quick, run in and out, stretch your legs, move your heads, whatever you need to do, and back at 2:15 with you guys and moving on there. Thank you. Yes, so welcome back, everybody. Another very, very short break. We'll have another one, thing around 3 o'clock. It's a bit slightly longer, so hopefully we'll catch up with our time and everything. Okay, so our next presenters are from the library, from the TMU library. It's we have here Naomi Eschenlaub, I believe. Naomi, you're presenting. Naomi, floor is all
Sure.
yours.
I'll start us off.
Thank you.
I'll start us off, and so I just wanted to thank everyone for being here for our short library session today. It's great to see you all, and we'd like to welcome you to your new program. We're just going to go over some library basics with you today, and we will also share our slides so that you have this information handy. So my name is Naomi, and with me today are Michelle and Fiona. We are all liaison librarians here at TMU Libraries, and we all work with various programs in the Creative School. So in terms of grad programs, I work with communication and culture, with the fashion grad students, and professional communication. And you will hear shortly from Michelle and Fiona, and they'll let you know the programs that they work with.
Oh, sure. Thanks.
Oh,
Sorry, Naomi.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Naomi. So like Naomi said, I do the grad programs for the RTA School of Media and the journalism program, as well as the Media and Design Innovation and Master of Digital Media graduate programs.
And
Thanks,
I'm
Michelle.
Fiona, and my program areas are interior design, acting, dance, production, and design, screenwriting, and story design.
So we encourage you to reach out to your subject liaison librarian if you have any questions at all in terms of either getting oriented with a library or helping find resources for your program and research, etc. So you can find the library at 350 Victoria Street, and there are a couple of entrances to get to us. Our east entrance is on the second floor, so that's via either Nelson Mandela Walkway or Kerr Hall. And our west entrance is via a bridge from the Student Learning Center building. So just so you know how to find us. And we just want to let you know quickly that our library collection is full of fantastic resources to help you succeed in both your graduate programs and your research, which includes, a wealth of academic articles and ebooks. We have also just launched a brand new search interface called Omni, and this serves as the gateway for you to all of our resources. And the last thing I just want to let you know is that Omni actually gives you access not only to our TMU content, but also to the physical holdings of 19 Ontario University libraries. So in addition to, for example, the over 500 online databases that you have at your fingertips here through our TMU subscriptions, which amount to, millions of dollars annually that we pay for you to access these. You can also request to borrow books located in other university libraries, and they'll be delivered here to you at TMU. So Omni, it's our new portal, and in the slides that we share, there's a link to a guide that will tell you more about searching Omni. And I'll pass it over to Michelle now.
Thanks, Naomi. So we'll share these slides with you, and they just provide a lot of links to a bunch of our library resources that you can think about accessing. And I'd also really encourage you to never hesitate to reach out to one of us as your subject librarians, because there's a lot of different things that the library can support you with. And we can pinpoint exactly what would be the best place to go and like who to reach out to. But we have some of our main services linked here. So we'll, starting in September, have much longer hours from Monday to Friday and also Saturday and Sunday, where you can have study space in the library. That includes our study space booking. So that's something that you can do as grad students. You can book study space as groups or individuals to use in the library. We also manage things like laptop lending and course readings. So if you ever need to borrow a laptop while you're on campus, and in addition to a lot of other kind of electronic equipment, including like charging cables and cameras and tripods and microphones, all sorts of things, you can check them out from the library. If you're ever at home and you find like, for instance, a book that you're really interested in and you just need a chapter for it, like someone at the library can actually scan and provide it to you as a PDF. So it's something that you may not necessarily think of, but these are services that are available to you. We have research guides for all the subjects at TMU. And so like Naomi was saying, there's all those different databases that represent millions and millions of dollars worth of research material. They're all highlighted in ways that are supporting your particular program. So we encourage you to check those out. And there's a lot of workshops offered throughout the year. Some of them that are targeted specifically to graduate students, like grant writing, or quantitative research, qualitative research design, all sorts of things that you might find interesting. So, we also encourage you to keep an eye out on the library homepage or on the workshop schedule to see if there's anything that you might be interested coming up. Finally, I just wanted to highlight our research help. So we really try to be as available to students as possible in terms of support for your research. So we have our research help desk that was in one of the pictures that Naomi showed about the entrance to the library that comes to the SLC. There's a desk there that's open during the school year where you can talk to someone in person. You can reach out to your subject librarian and ask for like a private meeting, so like a dedicated meeting that can be virtual or it can be in person to talk about your research. And we even have a online chat service that is accessible with weekend hours and evening hours, where you can just text a librarian with a question if you're really having trouble finding something that you need. And then, another list of library resources at a glance. And there's just really so much stuff to keep in mind. I just really encourage you to always kind of keep the library in the back of your head as a place where you might find something that you need to support your work. So we have, of course, computer labs, we have our archives and special collections with a lot of really unique content, and we have a lot of digital media and media production capabilities at the library. So we have our digital media experience lab, which is a sort of maker space. They do tutorials and a lot of like fabrication equipment and project support. And we also have the collaboratory, which is specifically for grad students and faculty. That does a lot more in terms of having a workspace for people to work on fabrication and technology, get project support. And that's tied as well to our immersion studio, which you see in the top picture on the screen, which is a virtual reality space that allows you to kind of create an immersive environment for your digital projects and get that kind of 360-degree screen view. We also have our material collections collection, which is the picture on the right, which is physical materials, where you can learn more about how they're produced and the components of them and where they're made. So it's very good if you're doing sort of a mixed digital and physical media project. We have a new media production studio that has green screen technology, podcasting technology, a lot of camera equipment and all sorts of things for doing media production. And we do a lot of support for research. So for instance, we have a law library that you can consult with. We have our geospatial data and GIS experts that can provide information on census data, searching for unique data sources, doing data licensing, geospatial data, all sorts of stuff. We have an expert that can do consultations on statistics with you. And we also have research data management experts that can help you plan for what to do with your research data as you develop it. So really just kind of keep in mind things like that when you're moving through your grad programs.
And I'm just going to talk a little bit about accessing the library. So you can access the library and its resources both in person and from home. In person, you will need your one card to enter the building, and your one card also acts as your library card for borrowing stuff, and it can be used to print and photocopy. We have Wi-Fi in the library, which is either the TMU or the Eduroam Wi-Fi. The library website, which is linked here, has many useful resources you can access from home, including journals, databases, and ebooks. And then to access resources electronically, all you need to do is just sign in with your my.torontomu account using the same login as your TMU email. And yeah, we've kind of talked about just how expensive a collection could be. Our library spends in 2022 to 2023, it spent nearly 9.8 million on resources, including 7.8 million in electronic resources. Some of the great electronic resources or the resources in general in our collection include things like we have the Material Connections room, but we also have a database kind of associated with this room called the Material Connections database. And it's a database of over 10,000 materials and material processes that can be explored and provide design inspiration. We have a DVD collection with around 700 titles on the 5th floor. And there are a lot of ways to stream media. We have a lot of streaming services like Canopy, Criterion On Demand, Films On Demand, Asian Film Online, World Cinema Collections, and more. And if it's not in the library, if we don't have access to a resource that you need, just let your subject library know, and we will do our best to try to inquire it. You don't need to feel awkward about coming to us, as you're helping us build a richer collection as well. Especially as grad students, we often rely on you to help us build a richer collection to match your emerging research areas that you're studying. So please reach out with titles that you wish we had. Another option is, we mentioned that we recently launched Omni. Omni is it's really easy to request books from our 18 partner universities across Ontario through Omni. And it really opens up our collection to many more possibilities. And if you are unable to find an item you need on Omni, we also have interlibrary loan. So you can put in kind of like a blank request, and we'll do the rest. We'll find the library it's at, and we'll get it to you. So the library pays for this, so it's entirely free to you. And now some of the process is also electronic for a lot of items. So you'll get links to items sent by email, but you can also have books delivered from other libraries to TMU Library for pickup. So that's it from the library. If you have any questions, you can probably, I don't know if we have time for questions, but we're happy to answer questions as well if you contact us through these links on the page here.
Excellent. Thank you very much, library team. Thank you for all the useful information. And yes, we'll share the slides with all those resources for everybody. So lots of useful information there. Excellent. Next, we have the Center for Excellence in Learning and Teaching. And Sadia Rahmani is here to present. Sadia, floor is all yours.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay.
Sounds good.
Cool. So I'm here with my colleague, Jackie. So we will both be presenting the supports to TAGAs that the Center for Excellence in Learning and Teaching provides. So basically, the center was founded by using the existing teaching resources and making a center. So really, so we serve as a hub to support instructors, but as well as teaching assistants. So specifically for graduate students, we offer programming that supports you in your roles as TAGAs, but also just as professional development. So we offer supports that help improve your teaching skills for the TAGA roles, so teaching assistants and graduate assistants, enhancing your curriculum vitae, certifications that you can add to your resumes, and have access to teaching resources, and also to engage in an interdisciplinary learning community. So you'll see how I will show you through our programming how that's possible. So I am Sadia Rahmani. Educational developer is my official title, and I manage the program that is supporting graduate students. So from the center, that's basically my focus. And I also have Jackie, who can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yep. Hey, I'm Jackie. I'm also an educational developer at the CELT. So I'm working with Sadia on the TAGA programming, and I liaise with the Faculty of Engineering and Architectural Sciences. Yeah, happy to be here and answer any questions that people have about the center and our programming for TAGAs.
Mm-hmm. And also, you might hear from Zara. So she's our administrative coordinator for the programming. So quickly, to give you an overview, we provide support to TAGAs in many different forms so that you're able to access the support that you need in whatever way works best for you. So firstly, we have an asynchronous TAGA orientation, which is an online module that you can enroll into. And at the end of completing it, you get a certificate. I'll talk more in detail about them, but we also have a specific programming, which consists of courses you can take. These are free courses in higher education, workshops, teaching experiences, and we're also hosting a TAGA Day that is coming up this September 13th. So Jackie will provide the link in the chat about how you can register for that if you're interested. And we'll also talk about the awards that we have available. So first, if you want like a quick and easy way to gain a certificate, how you can do that is just by enrolling into, so you can click these links. or you can also find this information on our website. So Jackie will put that link in the chat as well. But it has information like meeting with your supervising instructor, the duties and responsibilities, what falls in your duties and what doesn't, how to build rapport with your students, how to use the learning management system that we have, and some resources. So then at the end of completing that, you get a certificate that you can use in many different ways. For those who are interested in professional development in teaching, the other thing you can do is to enroll into our graduate teaching development program, so GTDP for short. This specific program is free to all graduate students within all different programs, and it's flexible so that it can fit within your schedule. And also you receive a certificate at the end of them. So GTDP, so it's divided into two main parts. So there's something to clarify first. So we have level 1. If you complete 4 workshops with us and enroll into the CLT 100 course, you get the certificate for level 1. Then if you're interested in continuing your professional development and teaching, you can enroll into level 2, and you get to have partake into our teaching experiences, such as the peer observation of teaching, instructional skills workshop, and course instructor apprenticeship. And you do the level 2 course, which is the CLT 105. Then you get the level 2 certificate. Actually, Jackie, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll just tell you all a bit about CILT courses. So CILT 100, it's a 6-week course, and it's authored through the Chang School of Continuing Education for free, so it's no cost to you. If you have a lot of teaching experience or none at all, regardless of your teaching background or your experience, it's designed for anyone with any experience to come in and just be able to participate and engage with the content. So it's a great professional development opportunity for anyone. It provides an overview of effective and engaging teaching strategies grounded in research, and so evidence-based strategies on teaching and learning. So there is data and evidence to back up what you learn in the course. There are 2 sections this fall, and so those are on the right. There's a Monday section that's filling up, and then the Wednesday section, and those start on September 16th and 18th respectively. And then we also offer sections in the winter and the summer, so 1 section each for the winter and the summer. So if you are interested in this, there's a QR code there that you could scan to learn more and register.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then as part of level 2, we have the CLT 105 course. Again, this is a 6-week course. In the summer, we try to do a 3-week intensive. So we have 2 classes in 1 week. This specific course is building on what you learn in CLT 100, and it's to create a syllabi. So creating your own course. So we walk you through that process. If anybody wants more information, our website has everything in detail laid out.
Yeah.
So this one isn't offered in the fall. It's offered in the winter and the spring, summer.
Yeah. And for workshops, so we offer a bunch of workshops throughout the year. So these are some of our upcoming fall workshops. We have a set number of core workshops, which is what you see on the screen here, and then we have some additional ones that we'll be posting later on in the semester. But these are our core ones. So we have equity and inclusion in the classroom, grading practices and effective feedback, active learning in labs and tutorials, and engaging students in discussion. And so these are open to any TAs and GAs. So you can just register using that link for any of those these workshops. And yeah, they're just a great way to, again, build up more professional development skills, teaching skills, and work your way towards those certificates that Sadia mentioned earlier.
Yeah, perfect. And then, so again, as part of the level 2, you can partake into our teaching experiences programming. So one of the ones we'll be launching soon is the peer observation of teaching workshop. This is where graduate students are put into groups and they observe each other teach and then give feedback. And then you also get material that you can include in your teaching dossier one day. We have the instructional skills workshop. Right now, it's we're offering very few, but so more information on that if anyone's interested. Then we also have the course instructor apprenticeship. This is where you pair up with the faculty mentor and you plan how many what tasks you'll be doing, like what your goals are for yourself and how you're going to work with the mentor to achieve those goals. And we basically support you in that process. And at the end of that, again, you get acknowledgement and the certificate. So all of this, feel free to message us and we can chat with you. And if you're unsure about, what is best for you, then we can definitely support you and we can have chat. So we'll give you our contact information at the end. The other program our programming offers is the TAGA Awards. So this award is to recognize, promote, and reward contributions that graduate students make to teaching. So basically, again, anyone from any faculty can apply. What it needs you to do is to have a letter of support from your supervisor, and then student letters as well. You'll also need to submit a teaching philosophy statement. Our office provides workshops in how to write a teaching philosophy statement and also the courses. So CLT 100 will also have that information and include a bit of evidence of teaching effectiveness. So the fall 2024 nominations will open up. So you can submit a nomination package and then you can do the same thing in the winter. And then what we do is we look at all the applicants at the end of the term and give out awards during the summer term. Okay, so if you have any questions about TAGA contracts, we actually don't deal with the contract part. So if you have questions about your duties, contact your supervising instructor. If you have questions about the contract, you can contact HR via email. So we have their email here for you. Your department chair, regarding any issues, they should have information. And QP 3904 Unit 3 will provide you with specific information about contracts if you have those questions. So really, our office doesn't deal with that aspect. We just support graduate students in their professional development in teaching. Our contact information is taga@torontomu.ca. If you have any questions, let us know. Now you know myself and Jackie, and we co-lead the program. So we're highly involved with the programming and we want to make sure graduate students have the best experience. So yeah, reach out if you have any questions, and we'd love it if you also register and partake in our programming, and there's a registration link. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sadia and Jackie. Very useful. And just for everyone, just a quick note on contracts and stuff like that for TAGAs. You can also, if you're not sure who to contact us at your program office. And I'll share the information there, and we're happy to either guide you to who you're supposed to talk to or walk you through the contract issue or problem, whatever's happening there. So always here to support you guys. Again, thank you. Excellent. So our next presenter is from the Academic Integrity Office, Robin Jaffe. Robin, the floor is all yours.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to share my screen. It's visible? Yeah, okay. So as was said, I'm Robin Jaffe and I work for the Academic Integrity Office. So the Academic Integrity Office, this didn't move. Hold on. There we go. The Academic Integrity Office is a neutral support team and informational resource for students, staff, and faculty. We provide awareness and education about academic integrity, and we ensure that Policy 60, which is TMU's academic integrity policy, is fair and transparent. Academic integrity is the practice of acting honorably in an academic environment and is central to all learning, as I'm sure you are all aware of as graduate students. According to the International Center for Academic Integrity, it is the commitment, even in the face of adversity, to 6 fundamental values: honesty, trust, fairness, responsibility, respect, and courage. In practice, it means avoiding academic misconduct, which, according to TMU's Policy 60, is any behavior that undermines the university's ability to evaluate fairly students' academic achievements, or any behavior that a student knew or reasonably ought to have known could gain them or others unearned academic advantage or benefit. It's also important to note that not knowing this policy is not a good enough reason for not following the policy. As the policy states, all members of the university community have a responsibility to inform themselves about academic integrity and misconduct, including the contents of this policy. The policy also states that in graduate education, it is essential that an environment exists where faculty and students have the utmost regard for academic integrity. Therefore, they are expected to and must pursue their academic and research activities in a manner that is consistent with the highest standards of ethical and scholarly practice. So the full Policy 60 can be found on the TMU website. According to Policy 60, there are many different types of academic misconduct. Complete explanations are listed and described under Appendix A. However, I do want to highlight the definitions for one type of misconduct as they were recently updated. So misrepresentation of personal identity or performance. As you can see, in addition to what was already listed, there are 2 new definitions. So they are submitting work created in whole or in part by artificial intelligence tools unless expressly permitted by the instructor, or submitting work that does not reasonably demonstrate your own knowledge, understanding, and performance. So you are all expected to complete your work to the best of your ability. Your best is not always going to be the best, and that's okay. The purpose of doing these assignments is to demonstrate your understanding of the material you are being taught, not to make it look like you already know everything. When you allow someone or something else to do the work for you, you aren't showing the instructor what you do and do not understand, which means that whatever feedback you receive on these assignments is not able to address the areas where you might need help. And if you're caught getting someone else to do the work for you, both you and the person who did the work may receive penalties. But forget about involving another person. Submitting work generated by AI can also backfire in several ways. First, many students seem to assume that AI can do the work better than they can, which is almost always untrue. AI might use fancier words, but you shouldn't be using language you're not familiar with in your work, whether they sound better or not. Even with fancier wording, the responses themselves are often simplistic, too simplistic for what is expected of graduate level work. And that doesn't even touch on the fact that AI just plain makes stuff up. Submitting false information is another type of academic misconduct. Moving on, if there is a concern of academic misconduct, that is where the Academic Integrity Office usually comes in. A respectful, non-adversarial conversation would be scheduled between you and a decision maker, which would be your instructor or someone who represents them, and will also include a representative from our office to facilitate. Discussion meetings with graduate students must be facilitated by the AIO. In these conversations, the students can consult a student advocate who can also attend the meeting, and/or they can bring a support person with them. During the meeting, the decision maker will explain the concern, show evidence, and ask the student questions. The student then gets to respond, show their own evidence, and ask their own questions in return. Decisions are made after the meeting and are based on the balance of probabilities. So that is whether it is more or less likely that in this particular situation, academic misconduct has occurred. If the decision maker determines that misconduct has occurred, there must be a penalty. So penalties can range from the minimum, which for graduate students is a 0 on the assignment, to an F in the course, to recommendations for more severe penalties. The student may also be required to complete educational workshops or quizzes related to academic integrity. Now, if there is a finding of academic misconduct, there is an appeals process as well if you meet the right criteria. You can learn more about that on our office's page on the TMU website. I will highlight, however, that you have 10 business days after receiving the initial decision to file your appeal. Now let's go over a few tips for maintaining academic integrity. So the main thing is follow instructions carefully. Sometimes it's helpful to read out instructions out loud to yourself so you don't skip over anything important. Contact your instructor if you have a question rather than assume that something is okay to do or use. I'm sure that as graduate students, most of you are familiar with these tips, but humor me. I just want to go over them. Do not use AI without your professor's explicit and detailed permission. If they don't say you can use it and say how you can use it, don't use it at all, even for brainstorming. Read evaluation requirements early, even if you don't start the assignment early, and complete work individually unless otherwise stated. Avoid referring to, consulting, or using other students' work, for example, websites like Course Hero, and avoid sharing your own work, especially anything that another student may copy into their own work. Take care when giving feedback. I wasn't familiar with this part of the policy until I became an academic integrity specialist. One of the definitions of plagiarism includes using someone else's edits. So it's okay to point out problems, but don't provide solutions if giving feedback, because that can land you in trouble. Remain attentive when doing group work or partner work. You are responsible for any assignment with your name on it in its entirety, not just the parts that you worked on yourself. It's a good idea to leave some time before the deadline for each person in the group to review everyone else's work before you have to submit. And then just remember that your work is your effort, labor, understanding, and expression. Your work shows what you've learned, how you can apply that information, and whether or not you can communicate it clearly. Your assignment may not be perfect, but it doesn't have to be. And it probably shouldn't be, because if you already knew everything, you wouldn't have to be here. It's also important to be aware of the many tools that may be over-assisting you in your completing your work. So Grammarly, for example, is often thought of to be okay because it focuses mainly on spelling and grammar, or it used to. However, when it offers fixes, it does so by rewriting your work for you, making that work no longer yours alone. If you were to then go on to submit that work as yours alone, you could be engaging in academic misconduct. There are also other tools available, paraphrasing tools like Quillbot, auto-translation tools, many others that do much more than they should. You may want to use them to assist your education, but don't let them get in the way of it. Earlier, I mentioned courage, and completing your work with academic integrity requires it. It may mean submitting work that isn't your absolute best. It may mean accepting late marks if you can't finish something in time, or asking for an extension before the deadline. It may mean saying no to a friend who wants to see your work. And most importantly, it may mean asking for help. There are many academic resources available to you at TMU. You've seen presentations from several of them. But for example, the AIO offers 2 types of virtual drop-in appointments that you can book to ask questions about our policy or to discuss the integrity of an assignment in progress. So that's all from me for today. Is there time for questions?
I think we have one or two questions. If anybody has anything, by all means. Otherwise,
here are my sources, because I'm not a hypocrite.
perfect.
I do have one question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I can the thing about Grammarly, do you think I should just play it safe and like not have Grammarly rephrase any sentences at all?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Like it's a very thin line from assistance to doing the work for you, and it's just better to stay firmly on the one side of the line.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Excellent. Any other questions?
Sorry. Hello.
Hello.
I had a follow-up on that. Hi. Regarding edits, so similar line of thought, would it be better to not give specific edits and just say this is confusing, for instance, rather than, oh, I suggest you paraphrase it this way?
Yeah, avoid prescriptive feedback. So avoid saying change this to this, make this change here, etc. Try to give more open-ended feedback, like as you were saying, this is confusing, or this could use some clarification, just so that you avoid putting too much of yourself into someone else's work.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, thank
I
you
think we're
very
good.
much.
And Robin, thank you for sharing all the information, and we'll share the presentation on the website for everyone. And if you have more questions, I think highly encourage, doing the drop-in sessions. I think that would be really helpful for most of you as you start getting working and researching and typing and start doing all that kind of stuff. So definitely take advantage of that. Thanks, Robin, again.
Thanks.
Excellent. Our next presenter is Stacy Bergquist from the Catalyst, and she's the grant support specialist. So Stacy, floor is yours.
Great, thanks, Daniel. Hi, everybody. As Daniel said, I'm the grant support specialist for the Catalyst in the Creative School. So I'm here to give a short introduction to both how I can support you and also the Catalyst in general as a space for graduate students. So quickly share my screen. Yeah, so that's me. That's my email address. I've got an office in the Catalyst, which is the Rogers Communication Center, second floor of the Rogers Communication Center. If you're not familiar with it, it's essentially a space for scholarly research and creative activities within the faculty. It is open to graduate students as a workspace. There's also bookable conference rooms. There's a lounge and a kitchen. So it's a space where faculty doing their SRC work have offices. And then it's also a space for working group work, quiet work. There's some computers and facilities in there. So if you haven't visited before, you're welcome to do so. And it often gets more bustling as we get into September. So it can be a nice little hub if you're looking for a space to work or spend some time. We also host events there related to SRC work. So there might be conferences, workshops, exhibitions. We've had some end of year symposiums around from some of our student programs in the creative school. So you're more than welcome to attend any events that might be on. You're also welcome to apply to host an event there. If there's something you'd like to put on that's related to research or creative work that you're doing, you might find that you're in a course that ends up using the Catalyst for some of their space. But if you're also looking to get an initiative off the ground and you need some space for it, you can reach out to talk about how the Catalyst might be able to support you with that. And then more specifically as a service that's available to you is grant support. So if you are going to be applying to one of the large graduate scholarships that come up in the fall, I'm available for one-on-one support with that if you'd like. I also run a writing group for the master's level Canada Graduate Scholarship. So you can look out for email announcements about signing up for that if you're eligible for that grant. But if you also have other grant or funding opportunities that you're looking to apply to and you'd like a bit of support with that, you're more than welcome to come and see me to talk about the application requirements, to get some advice. I'm also happy to read a draft and give you some feedback as a second pair of eyes. So you can email me or book one-on-one appointments through our website. And I also host drop-in hours Thursdays, 10 till 2. So there's no appointment necessary. So if you are on campus and you're around and you wanted to come by and talk to me, you can always feel free to drop in and do that. But yeah, that's, or if you're, I don't know, looking for funding and you'd like some help trying to decide where that might be, again, feel free to come and talk to me about any of that sort of thing. That's really about all that I had to say about that. Just a quick whistle stop tour through the Catalyst. But yeah, definitely if you're looking for a bit of space on campus, away from the bustle, then feel free to, feel free to come by. And yeah, they use the kitchen, use the lounge. There's a treadmill if you're looking to get a little activity in to your day. And yeah, feel free to get in touch with me for any questions about funding opportunities.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Stacey. And yes, I highly encourage everybody to check out the Catalyst. We will be programming your wine cards, so you have access to it. It's like a swipe your card in, you can walk in. That usually happens within the first few weeks of September. Excellent. So our next presenter is Marie Costa. She's a Director of Academic Planning and Student Affairs, and she's talking about the Student Success Center. So Marie, the floor is all yours.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to also pop my details into the chat so you have them. I'm Marie, as Daniel said, and I help support academic initiatives, curricular initiatives, renewal with faculty and your programs, as well as student-facing initiatives for you. So if there's things that you want or things that you're interested in doing, experiences that you feel are missing before you leave and graduate, please reach out, get in touch. We can set something up with the team to have those discussions. But in terms of the Student Success Center, it is on the 3rd floor of the RCC. It's a theme. You're going to hear RCC is like a very central theme. And what that Success Center does is it helps navigate students to the various resources. So if you are ever like, I'm not sure, my advisor might not be available, feel free to pop in. And, you know, Kira is the manager of that space and she can help navigate. But really, honestly, everyone in this ecosystem will help you navigate as best as we can. So if you are looking for some help, you can always go there on the 3rd floor, but also just reach out to anybody and we really genuinely will navigate you. In that space, we do have our counselors. So we work very closely with the Central Counseling Services. So should you need any support, struggles, you know, somebody to talk to, we do work closely and we have creative school focused counselors in that space. You can book appointments with them through the central office. Thank you. Daniel, I love this coordination. And we can get you the support and somebody to talk to. We are currently moving our career services into the Enterprise Hub. I'm not sure if you've had a conversation and visit from the Enterprise Hub just yet, but all creative career details, enterprising, entrepreneurship level work will be happening in that space. So we no longer have the career team in the Student Success Center as we once did. But the Student Success Center, again, all through the year, will be programming events, activities. We have a weekly newsletter that goes out called The Scoop. I encourage you to look and read it, find ways that you can get involved, find opportunities. Again, I mentioned Kira, and within the Student Success Center, we also manage our exhibitions. So part of my portfolio is managing 2 exhibition spaces that are creative school wide and open to all programs, not just affiliated with one. The first one is called the Assembly Gallery, and I'll just pop in a link there. If you have anything that you are looking to curate or exhibit within your studies, projects that you're working on, it is a very small DIY space on the 1st floor of Image Arts. I encourage you to go. It's literally in the lobby. You'll see it as soon as you walk in. And we've had a number of exhibits there, from alumni to graduate programming to school-specific, class-specific things. So you're welcome to email me if you have ideas. And if you're interested in actually exhibiting in that space, happy to hear some of the ideas. The other space we have, and we will be doing a call out for, is the window on Yonge Street. So on the corner of Yonge and Gould, where the SLC is, the Yonge Street facing wall actually has a small exhibition space there. Students, that is primarily dedicated to students and exhibiting student work. And students always love it because as they are usually building in that space, you see all the randoms walking by, looking, watching, seeing what you're doing with excitement, with interest, with curiosity. And it's always this great feeling to see these people, randoms, seeing your stuff on Yonge Street. So again, it's a weird little space. Look out for the call out in the Scoop. And I'd be so excited to showcase you. That's really part of what the Student Success Center does. It is about sharing and celebrating your work, your experiences, and making sure that you're getting the best experience while you're here. That's it for me. Any questions? Or again, you now have my email, so I'm hoping to get inundated with exhibition requests or ideas for things you want as students. Thanks, Daniel.
Great. Thank you, Marie. Thank you for joining us and for presenting all of that. And then for everyone, yes, make sure you take advantage of the links to everything on the chat. Now I promise you a break, so let's do a little break. I know we did a very short one earlier, so we'll do a regular break this time. Let's meet back at 3:20. It's our next presenter, so you got about 15 minutes or so. Catch a little snack, take a little break, just relax your eyes from the screen, and we'll see you back at 3:20. See you soon, guys. Hopefully this was a nicer break than the last one. This was a proper break, I should say. So it's tricky with so many presentations to maintain time, but here we are. We're almost there, 2/3 there. So let's continue on. And again, thank you for hanging on. We're almost there. Our next presenter is Sig Bruce Walker from International Student Support. Sig, the floor is all yours. I'm going to stop sharing so you can share your slides. And there you go.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you, everyone, for letting me be here and meeting you all. My name is Zeke. I am an international student advisor with ISS. So I'm going to take the time today just to go over some key things that our office does for international students at TMU. I do have a few slides which I'll share. It's going to be just a handful of the items that we will go over, but hopefully you will find this helpful if you're ever in the need to come and by and see us for any of these services. So, okay. So just the list here is just a few of the supports that we have for students. Immigration support, of course, cultural and social support. You'll find a lot of events on Explore TMU if you search through ISS events. Lots of fun stuff as well as informative regarding study permits, visas, that kind of thing. We work with WUSC, World University Service Canada, and we're able to assist in some overlapping areas with financial support, graduate student support. We help with newcomer and family support, action plan advising, as well as UHIP, which is the mandatory health insurance for international students out of our office. So the bulk of what I'm going to talk about is immigration compliance. We assist with students' understanding of immigration compliance in relation to their study permits, in relation to future plans they may have to apply for a permanent residence or work permits after completing their studies. So let's go over these few items. So for those students holding a study permit, there are conditions which you must adhere to on the study permit. First, obviously remaining enrolled. If you're with TMU, TMU is your designated learning institution. And if you're switching your school, then it's your responsibility to update the government with that information. Another condition very important is maintaining full-time status. So for graduate students, that means that each of your terms you're enrolled in a GD 1000 or 1001 course code. If you are not enrolled in full-time studies, then you will have eligibility issues regarding postgraduate work permit after your studies are complete. So many international students are very keen to apply for the work permit. So maintaining full-time status is very, very important. And that's during all regularly scheduled academic semesters, not during any scheduled academic breaks, but for graduate students, generally that's 3 terms. Another key condition is with regard to if for whatever reason you need to take a leave from your studies, it's very important that that leave, first of all, if it's longer than 150 days, there are greater implications. So that's basically, a semester or so. If it's going to be longer than that, you could run into more complications with future applications. If it's less, still very important to get written approval for a short-term withdrawal, approved leave from the studies, and to maintain that paperwork. If you're going to be applying for a postgrad work permit or a study permit extension, being able to prove that you had the leave approved before taking the leave, very important. So we've gone over the full-time enrollment. Many students are also keen to work while they're studying, so it's a good way to get Canadian experience, also to earn some income while you're pursuing your program or your degree. So while you're a full-time student, you may study off campus 20 hours a week. And again, if you're in a graduate program that doesn't have regular study breaks, then you're a full-time student and those 20 hours apply for all of the terms. You must have a social insurance number in order to work, so you apply for that at Service Canada. Pretty straightforward application. You can apply in person with your passport and study permit. If you apply online, there's additional documents you need to show. I believe it's simply proof of your residence in Canada, your address. If you have mandatory work experience in your program, it's possible to obtain a co-op work permit that is unlimited as far as the hours, but it must be mandatory in the program. The co-op work permit is not available if you're doing a voluntary internship or something that's not required in order to complete your program. I already went over that. Just a quick overview of how you get our services. Drop-in advising is available 3 times a week. Some of them are either in person or online. Some of them are one or the other. So you can just see here, it's Tuesday mornings, Wednesday and Thursday afternoons. Another key thing we do is we host sessions on various immigration topics. For example, the postgraduate work permit, study permit extensions, different PR streams, permanent residence streams. Those sessions come up periodically throughout the year. You'll find the dates on Explore TMU. We also record those tutorials and make them available on our website so that they're at your fingertips if you are in need of that guidance and there's not a session coming up. It doesn't mean you can't get the information. And of course, reach out to us if there's questions that don't get covered in that. Finally, just to touch on one very important thing that we are doing is a status letters. Every time you're applying for immigration related to your studies, whether it's a study permit extension or a work permit, co-op work permit, you will be including a letter from our office which confirms your enrollment or confirms your completion of your program. Basically, it's an eligibility requirement, so it's a key document to getting your application approved. And you can request those letters on My Service Hub, the eForms Center, International Status Letters, and we will turn those around within 5 business days for whichever the letter you require for your upcoming application. So just be aware that give us a little time, 5 business days or so, before you run out of time for whatever application you're moving forward on. I did mention UHIP. If you have any questions regarding UHIP, our office also handles that. That's the mandatory health insurance for international students. The rest of these are just links. So I realize I went over things pretty quickly, but I do appreciate getting a chance to speak to you all. And hopefully, if there's anything we can help you with, I'll get a chance to meet you in person at our office, or you can join us online anytime that I mentioned before. So again, thanks very much for the chance to speak to you today.
Thank you very much, Sig. And yes, we have the slides for you guys as well, so you can download them later on from the website as with most of the presentations. And highly encourage all the international students, any sort of questions that Sig mentioned about study permits or visas, all that kind of stuff, direct them to there, because you're welcome to email us here at the programs, but we don't have all of those answers because they're not trained in that area. But so the international student support team will be happy to help you with that, any of those kinds of things. Excellent. So again, thank you, Sig, for joining us. Our next presenter is Robert Ott. He's the Associate Dean in Strategic Projects. He's come here to present a little bit about the Creative Enterprise Hub / the Innovation Studio / all the great things that are happening there. Robert, the floor is all yours.
Great. Thank you very much, Daniel, for the introduction, and welcome graduate students to TMU in the Creative School specifically. And I know you've probably had several hours of presentations already, but Daniel, maybe you put me at the end to keep things continued on an upbeat scale. I will share my screen with you. And I really only have a one slider, if you will. It's not always useful to have a lot of text to read through, but it's not so much about reading the text other than kind of being really excited to share with you in a new initiative in the Creative School that we're launching next week. And it is called the Creative Enterprise Hub. So give me a second to share my screen. And it's this one. And you'll be able to, you'll get this presentation afterwards. So what is the Creative Enterprise Hub and how did it come about? If you were an undergraduate student here in the Creative School, and some of you have been, you would have been aware of the Innovation Studio down at 110 Bond Street. And the Innovation Studio is the home of 3 of our creative zones, which is Design Fabrication Zone, which is Fashion Zone, and Transmedia Zone. And those zones are part of our zone learning environment, which teaches students and also people from outside of TMU on sort of an incubator level, an accelerated level, what it is like to start up a business, become entrepreneurs. And we also understood that not every student necessarily wants to be an entrepreneur. However, at the same time, every student is doing things that look an awful lot like entrepreneurship without perhaps admitting to wanting to be an entrepreneur. And we think this is actually really critical for creative school students to have a mindset that is not only entrepreneurial, but what we're also calling enterprising. And enterprising kind of has these 3 pillars. You are all going to be heading into an environment where it is both very kind of traditional 9-to-5 jobs, those are the things that historically our industries have been based on in many cases, but also those tend to be the places that offer internships on a quite consistent basis. However, we also are working in the gig economy. And what we're also understanding is a lot of professionals entering the industries, they don't necessarily want to be tied to one particular organization. They want to make a difference, and sometimes that can be done through project-based work, through gig work, like I said earlier, or working for 2 companies at the same time. So navigating these opportunities can both be very exciting, but it can also be a little bit anxious inducing. So we're saying that enterprising is a little bit of the bigger picture about being entrepreneurial, because our 3 mission pillars are based on if you're working as a creative and as in the cultural sector, you need to be able to manage your career and your employability, okay? And this very often can be freelanced or project-based. And what you might want to think about, for example, you were hired by the CBC to do a 3-part series of maybe 5-minute videos on a particular project. You delivered it, they loved it. Well, now you got to think about, how do I make myself visible and how do I make myself relevant based on this one project, 3-video kind of series. Well, you might actually go back to the CBC and say, hey, you had an audience, you really liked what we did on this theme that you were thinking about. Well, here are actually 2 or 3 other ideas on themes that may extend this particular subject matter. And they'll say, oh, that sounds really great. We were kind of thinking the same thing. And next thing, you will have established a relationship coming out of a one-time project, as opposed to hunting for a new project every single time, or consumer for that matter. So it's really how you present yourself and how you keep yourself relevant. The next pillar is what we call being enterprising. And that sometimes is, you see an opportunity and then you kind of think, well, actually, is there a way that I can act on this? What can I do to add some value to this whole thing? And this could be simply about, for another example, is, let's say you are in performance and you come across a window display at one of the retailers, and window displays tend to be very static, and you might think, well, you know what, I could actually animate this very traditional display, not necessarily by video, but actually by a performance within the video. Okay, so using your creative talents, your unique skills, but applying them in a different context. And the last one is the new venture creation. This is kind of getting in the startup business. But creatives very often have to deal with other things than the usual kind of business school entrepreneur. And very often you have to worry about legal issues regarding IP, for example, about copyright, but then also, in many cases, your enterprises or your startups might be financed through the cultural sector, and how to write a grant to run a business within the creative and cultural sector are kind of additional dimensions that a creative school student will have to contend with. Okay? So this is about thinking creatively, thinking outside the box, making things happen, but literally not waiting until you are graduating from your program, but how to embed that kind of mindset in day one. And we hope you will take advantage of this. Like I said, we're going to be launching next week. We're down at 110 Bond Street. You will get more information through email about more of the programming that we're offering, what some networking opportunities might be, mentorship and support, and events that we have planned. But I want to leave you with this final thought, is why this is important to be enterprising and to develop an enterprising mindset. In many cases, your graduate program is still continuing developing your skills. However, what we're looking to do is to make sure you understand about how to apply, share, or distribute your creative work, not just making it. Okay? Secondly, in all the creative professional sectors, you're more than likely to be self-employed at some point in time, and doesn't mean you're going to be self-employed in 2 years, but it could be in 5 and 10 years. And everything that you're doing along the way is to work towards sustainability of your business and how you're participating in the creative sector. And lastly, and I think this is probably the most exciting one for you, because at the creative school, a lot of your learning and your contribution is really transdisciplinary. And the creative services are booming. And the fastest growth is actually not within the discipline, meaning that if you choose to become a filmmaker, being a director or producer with a traditional film studio is necessarily the only way that you need to move forward. It is actually the opportunities are outside the traditional creative sectors. So they're either part of services that are part of your sector, or actually they're completely outside the sector. And so think about if you have an innovative way or a design solution in terms of how to create a new product or how to find a new audience, or you found a new way of using AI to tell a story, you might think about this might be obviously entertainment value, but it could also be educational. So you might think about how these skills and how these uniquenesses that you've developed are actually applicable in other areas outside of the creative sector. So think about medicine, think about healthcare, think about law, think about the insurance business. And I'm maybe becoming a little bit more ridiculous in terms of what those opportunities are, but you'd be amazed on how connected and what an amazing contribution you can make by simply making sure you use the networking opportunities that your schools and the Creative Enterprise Hub present with you. And I think my time is up. I think there might be a minute or two. If there are any questions, you can plop them into the chat if you have the ability to. Otherwise, you will get a copy of the presentation, and Daniel can give you my contact information if you want to reach out to me directly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Robert. It's great. It's very exciting coming up for next week. So again, we'll share all that info with everyone once it's live, and you heard it here first. So here we go. Excellent. Again, thanks, Robert. Our next presenter is from the Center for Student Development and Counseling, Payal Bole. She's a counselor there. Payal, floor is all yours. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I do not trust myself to multitask, so please bear with me. I'm going to get up my slides and then I will start talking. I am hoping that's working after like 4 years of doing this. I'm still always nervous about sharing Zoom screens. Perfect. Thank you for the thumbs up, Daniel. So as Daniel mentioned, my name is Payal. I am a counselor with the Center for Student Development and Counseling. And I wanted to take a few minutes today to introduce you to our services in case you ever find yourself in need of them while you're studying at TMU. So I am one of several counselors at our counseling center. We have a core group of counselors, and we also have a few counselors who work with individual faculties. So personally, I am here today because I tend to work with the School of Graduate Studies, but the Creative School actually has its own embedded counselor as well. So you may hear the name Miriam floating around. That's my colleague who also works with the Creative School. So let's just start with a congratulations and a welcome. I know for some of you, this might be your first time at TMU. For others, perhaps you've done another program here and are returning. But either way, welcome or welcome back. For those of you who are newer, that is not a stock photo. That is actually a building that exists on campus. So if you are new, that is the SLC building. I want to say on the 3rd floor, it's called the Beach. So if you ever feel like you just need an open space and you're tired of being crammed, please head to the SLC, 3rd floor. So I thought I'd start by just telling you a little bit about some common reasons that students seek our services. So you'll see I have a list of presenting concerns that are listed out there. Honestly, we see students for everything from sort of mood-related things like anxiety and depression, to more interpersonal related things such as family or relationship difficulties they might be experiencing, or even academic related struggles such as like if you're worried about your program, if you're having issues with your thesis, if you're not sure you chose the right career, and you just want to talk it out with someone, we are here across the board. The 5 items that you see highlighted on there in bold, that is actually data from our last data year. So last year that we had a full set of data, those are the 5 most common presenting concerns that we saw at the Counselling Center. And I like to highlight that because there is sometimes a misconception that you can only access school-related services if you have an academic problem in particular. That's not true. As you can see, 4 out of the 5 top concerns actually had nothing to do with academics. But life is holistic, and if one part of it is not going well, it can sometimes lead into other things. So we do believe in kind of working at it from a wraparound approach. I forgot to mention this. If folks have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat or just unmute yourself as I'm talking. I'm happy to pause. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is, truthfully, most of the students who come to us usually rarely have just one thing that they're struggling with. It's usually multiple things, which is very common. Sometimes it's a new issue that cropped up. Sometimes it's a chronic issue that's like a little bit more prevalent right now. There's really no limit to why you can access us. This is not an exhaustive list by any means, but if you're asking yourself, how do I know if I might need some counseling services? If you notice any of these things in your life, it might be an indicator that a consult at the very least might be helpful. So if you're noticing changes in your behavioral patterns, you're not sleeping so well, you're having struggle with activities of daily living, you're not eating so well, that might be a sign. If you're finding that you're skipping class or calling in sick to work a lot more than you usually are. If you're finding that you're struggling with motivation or productivity, you've hit writer's block, you're having imposter syndrome being in a graduate program, not sure if you're in the right program, all of those things. If you're struggling with your mood, you're finding you're more irritable than usual, you're having a hard time stabilizing your mood. Or the last one in particular, if you are struggling with suicidal thoughts or thoughts of self-harm, that would definitely be an indicator. Switching over to who we actually are. So we are a multidisciplinary team. I'm a social worker by training, but we have members on our team who are psychologists, psychotherapists, as well as psychiatrists. That last one, I will say, it's not always easy to see a psychiatrist out in the real world. There's a shortage of them. It's very hard to get through OHIP. So if that is a service that you might need, if you're enrolled in a program at school, it's a good option. All our counselors we all have our area of specialty, so we have different modalities that we work from. And since the pandemic, we are able to offer both in-person and virtual. So what is it that we actually do? I'm going to walk you through what it would be like if you actually decided to access our services. So the best way to do that is actually just to walk into our counseling center to book your initial appointment. I'll tell you how to find us in a moment. You're going to walk in. We're available Monday to Friday. You're going to let them know, hey, I'm a student here. I think I'd like to see a counselor. They're going to ask you to fill out a couple of like demographic forms so we can set you up in our system, and they'll book you in for an initial consultation meeting. There's usually no wait times for that meeting. There's a good chance that you will have that meeting probably within that first week, if not within a day or two, depending on your availability. September does get a little bit busy for us, so it might take a few days longer in September, but honestly, usually within a week or two at most, you will have that initial consultation meeting. In that meeting, you'll be meeting with the counselor, myself, one of my colleagues, whoever is available first, to kind of figure out, are there any resources or supports that we can put in place to help right now in this moment, as well as to come up with a triage plan for the future. So sometimes students just come to us needing a single session of support, or like a couple of appointments of support. They've gone through a breakup, they've lost a loved one, they just need some support in for a couple of appointments. That's great, we're able to help you out with that. Other times students need more ongoing support. So if that's something you're interested in, we can talk about setting that up as well. Maybe you're looking for some group supports. So these are a list of the groups that we have offered in the past. Taming Your Critic, a very popular group for those of us who struggle with that inner self-critic who is very loud. Facing loss if you've lost a loved one. If you're having trouble with emotional regulation, we have groups for that. More to Life was a group to just deal with existentialism, because we found that was a topic that was coming up a lot over the pandemic. So just depending on what our students are telling us they need, we will come up with different group supports. We also have specific pathways of support for Indigenous and Black students. So if you identify that you would like to see a counselor with a shared identity, we have specific counselors that you can meet with as well. And separate from our individual and group supports, we do try our best to account for the fact that life is about, or mental health is about more than just mental health. There's a lot of like physical health and physical safety that is also important. So we actually have a care team lead who, if students are struggling with insecure housing or financial struggles, and they just need more practical based supports like that, you are still welcome to consult with the CSDC. We do have someone who can help you with that. We have a safe house program for people who may find themselves suddenly homeless, like there's a fire in your apartment, you have no idea where to go, something major like that. You can consult with us. There might be supports we can provide. We liaise with other programs at the university. And we like to tell you about your student benefits outside of the CSDC. So for those who are full-time graduate students, you do have access to therapy coverage, which means you can see a therapist outside the university, and it is potentially covered if you don't want to go through the university. I'll end off with just telling you before I open it up for questions, just how to actually find us. So again, not a stock image, that is an image of our actual door. So we are located in Jorgensen Hall. For those of you who got your one card, if you've already had a chance to do that, you've probably been in this area before. We're in the basement level of Jorgensen Hall. Look for the green door. That's our office, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Please feel free to walk in and just let them know you're looking to meet with a counselor, and we'd be happy to set you up for your initial appointment. I breezed through that and I cannot look at the chat, but I'm gonna open it up here just to see if there are any questions. Oh, good question. I have no idea if TMU undergrad students need a new one card.
They can usually use the same card because it's the same student ID, but you need to it needs to be activated account. So basically you need to be reactivated. A quick email to the one card office just to make sure everything is active, and that's probably all you need to do, because it's usually based on your student IDs, and it'll be the same, usually the same student ID as undergrad.
Awesome, thank you, Danielle. I'm going to ask you, as you were mentioning that there were some frequently asked questions that I get asked a lot, so I'm going to try to answer those. One, I get asked a lot, do you have to be a full-time student to access our services? Nope, you can be a part-time student, even if you're just registered in one course. As long as you're an actively registered student, you can access us. The other one I get asked a lot is, does academic standing matter? Doesn't matter if you're on academic probation, if you're in good academic standing. The only time it matters is if you're like required to withdraw status, and even then we're still allowed to meet with you at least once. So regardless of your academic standing, you can still access this. Ooh, how long is the wait time to see a therapist at TMU? Yes, good question. So that initial appointment that I mentioned, if you walk in and book for an appointment, there's no wait times. Like I said, depending on like your availability, you could probably see someone like in a day or two, week or two max when it gets really busy times. For our ongoing counseling stream, we do sometimes have a wait list. Honestly, it fluctuates over the year. Like right now, for example, we're pretty well caught up on our wait list, so there's not a lot of wait times. As we hit kind of fall and going into winter, our wait list does build up. So in that case, at the very, very upper end, it might sometimes take a couple of months to see it for ongoing counseling. But while you are on the wait list, you always still have access to your initial counselor that you met in your consultation. So let's say you meet them, you go on the wait list. A month in, you're like, oh my gosh, I need some support. I need to talk to a counselor. You can always go back to your first counselor and do like an as needed appointment. Yes, hopefully that answered the question. No problem. All right, I am looking at the time. I think I have used up more than my time. So thank you so much for having me. These slides will be available. If you have any question, all our contact information is on the slides. Please feel free to reach out anytime. And welcome. Maybe I will see some of you around on campus. I always feel like I'm one of those, this job is weird because it's one of those, it's nice to meet you and I hope I never see you again kind of jobs. So I'm going to say leave off that way.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Payal. That's great. And yes, I encourage all of you, any questions, you're not even sure if you need it, just approach the CSDC. It's great to, it's a good resource to have, and It can really help you throughout the your academic career here at TMU. Great, excellent. So now we are close to the end. So this is more of the question and answer period now. So I'm here to answer as many questions as I can. That it can be related to resources, so they can be related to other things. I want to start with, there was one before in the chat about electives and courses and all that kind of stuff. And so I'll give you a quick overview as to where we at with that right now, so that you understand more or less the process. So course enrollment. Before we can actually do course enrollment, you have to be matriculated into the program, which basically means converting your application account or your admissions account into a student account. That just happened last week. So that was very happens really late because obviously everything has to be finalized. So that just happened last week. Now this week we are starting to do enrollment. You would have received an email from me probably asking you to complete a course selection Google form. In grad, in our program specifically, is different than in undergrad. So if you were a previous TMU student where you enrolled yourself and did all that stuff, in grad we sort of enroll you into the program, so you don't have to go through the My Service Club system or anything like that. We'll do it, and that Google form, the course selection form, is sort of our best way to do that, because then you confirm which courses you want, and then we put them in the system, and then we'll let you know once all of that is ready. We do that because a lot of the graduate courses have either prerequisites or some sort of like combination of courses you need to take at the same time. So if you try to do it yourself, there'll be a lot of like random errors here and there, like, oh, I cannot enter this course. And that means you have to enter these two at the same time, or these three, and all these different combinations. So it's usually a lot easier for us to do it all for you. We override all those things, and we put you in the courses that you want. Now, depending on the program that you have, there's basically three categories. Some programs do not require electives. They're just basically all required courses. There's no electives, and you don't have to take them, and you can still graduate. This is programs like the Film and Photo Preservation and Collections Management program and the Script Writing MFA program. Now, the difference there is the script writing program does not require electives, but they usually do encourage you to take a couple that might help you with your, with your research, with your goals when you finish. But they're not required, and then you can just take them for the knowledge or for the fun of it, in a sense. The other category are the ones that are programs that have required courses plus electives. So you have to, in a sense, a list of your required courses. If you go to then, there'll be a list of electives that particular program offers, and they usually encourage you to take those particular electives because they're very relevant to that particular course, so that particular program. So for example, they'd be like fashion, journalism, media production, which other one? Documentary media, and professional communication. So those five usually have very specific electives they're in a sense guided towards your program. You can still take course electives outside of your program if you think that's more relevant to your research, but that usually requires special permission from the program director. Once you have a supervisor, from your supervisor, but at this point it's probably from the program director, and then we can enroll you in the courses. And then the third category is basically courses that have required courses. They have required electives, but the program itself does not offer required electives. And they usually encourage you to take courses or elective courses from a different program. So this would be the Post-Professional Master of Interior Design, the Media Design Innovation PhD program. They usually have their own sort of section that they have the required courses, but the electives come from a different program or a different school. Whenever you're trying to enroll in any elective that is not offered by your program, so they wouldn't be listed on that course selection form that we sent you, then you would be sort of looking at the Creative School graduate electives website. I'm gonna put it on the chat just so that you guys know what I'm talking about. Give me 1 second here. The link for that was in the email that we sent out with the course selection. I believe there was a problem with the website that weekend for some reason, and everybody got a 404 error. That was resolved, I think, the Monday or Tuesday after. I'm not sure to say what happens. The mechanical was moved and then it broke the links, but everything is now working. So I'm gonna put that in chat here. So that is the website where you can sort of see all the electives that the Creative School is offering right now for graduate students in this particular fall term. Okay, now most of these have in a sense already been not pre-approved, but somewhat pre-approved to allow other students from different programs in there. Now, the way to enroll in these electives is basically you go through the list, take a look at what they are. If you're trying to figure out more of the actual course description, for example, you can look at that same page, and at the bottom, there's a section with links to the graduate program calendars, and then click on that, and that will take you to the full, in a sense, full description of the courses, and you can read about the courses there. And we'll be adding any other special topic course descriptions shortly to the website if any of them are missing. Like, for example, the course that the zone learning course that JP talked about today, we'll add the course description in there. I believe one other section is already on the list, but we'll add the second one once it becomes it's open, because it's officially not open in the system yet. But anyway, so the way you would do to enroll is you look at the course, pick which one you want. Next step is you want to complete a course substitution form, which the link for that is at the top of the page. The course substitution form just basically says, I want to take this course, I want it to count as an elective, and then it requires approval. Like I said, at this point, because you don't have a supervisor right now or an advisor, then you go straight to your program director and say, I want to take this course because it will work for my research, because I'm working on this and the course is this. So for example, I'm working in, I don't know, I'm in the interior design program and I want to learn about a particular design course that I like. And then so you send a quick email to them, they sign it, send it back to you, and then you can complete the enrollment request form, which is how we then find out that you want to take that course, and then we make sure all the signatures are there, and then we enroll you into the course. So that's kind of like the process. It does take some time to do all that, obviously. So if you receive that course selection form, and when you want to do this, you can still submit the course selection form indicating that you want to take a Creative School graduate elective, and then later on submit the request to actually be enrolled in the elective once you have the course substitution form. That's okay. We'll track all forms anyway to make sure that everybody gets enrolled in what they need. For most of the general electives, I'm gonna call them, we will be enrolling for those probably late next week. Because we usually try to enroll the programs, required courses and all that kind of stuff first. And then we'll start kind of going from there and then email you once all that's done. A couple programs probably did not receive a course selection form. Probably that's FPPCM, which is the photo preservation and film preservation program, and script writing, because you don't have actual electives. We don't usually send you a course selection. We usually send you a confirmation once you're enrolled in your required courses. And then in that email, you can take a look at the link that I just shared in the chat to see if there's any other courses that you want to take a look at, and maybe you're interested in taking, and so on. So we kind of do it, get you enrolled first, and then you get access to the electives afterwards, because they're just extras. You don't need them for credit. Okay, so that was the question for electives. Hopefully that kind of clarifies some of your questions and answer the question that we had earlier today. And I'm gonna now go into the chat, and there's a lot in there, so I'm just gonna go little by little. Bear with me as I read and answer through them. All right, so who's here first? We've applied to a GA/TA position. When are we expected to hear back? So a GA/TA, so those are the graduate assistant positions. For everybody, they are posted. Most of them are posted on the website. That's torontomu.ca/careers, and there'll be a section for students, and you can sort of take a look at what's available there. In terms of applications and when you hear back, it really does depend on the department posting them. Not all the GA/TA positions go through us in the Creative School. So generally speaking, GA position will be for a undergraduate course, for example. So it might be a undergraduate class in Image Arts, the School of Image Arts, maybe a film course, for example. So they are the ones actually doing the hiring. And generally speaking, the instructor is the one that would sort of determine who the GA will be. But it will also determine how fast they can respond. It will depend as well on the dates of the contract. So for example, if when you apply, you look at the posting and it says you need to start, the first day of classes. well, you're probably going to hear, at least a week, maybe hopefully a week, maybe 2 weeks before the actual, first day of classes, so that you can get set up and, enter your information in the system, all that kind of stuff. So the timeline does vary a little bit. Some postings, for example, happen now, but you don't need to start working until November because they're more about grading or, for a bigger project or something like that. In that case, you may expect a slightly longer wait time for a response. Feel free to contact the person listed as the hiring manager or as the instructor in the GATA posting, and they may be able to give you a little more information based on their specific needs. So hopefully that answers that. I noticed that some electives for my program overlap with required courses, and I was wondering why they're offered as options for my program. Is there a way to take them? I don't know if Danielle, you're still here. Can you just let me know what program that is?
Hi.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm in media production, and
Okay.
I wanted to take the editing specialty course,
Mm.
which was listed as one of the options, but it seems to overlap with one of the.
Got it. Oh, when you mean overlap, you mean schedule overlap.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that may happen with some of the electives and required courses. A lot of the some of the electives are offered just for grad students. Some of the electives are a combination of undergrad and grad courses. And so basically what they do is you basically join an undergrad class in a sense, and there's additional academic requirements for you to complete as a graduate student, but it's the same class. So in some cases, like this particular example of the editing course, because it is tied to an undergrad class, we don't have a lot of flexibility in terms of moving the schedule. And the required course that it overlaps in, I know for sure, unfortunately, we were not able to move it just because of the instructor availability. So when that happens, unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do in terms of changing the schedule, and so they end up being overlapped. However, you can check, sometimes the same course is offered twice in the academic year. So sometimes in the fall, sometimes in the winter. We don't have the winter schedule yet, but once that's up, you might be able to see if that particular course is offered again in the winter. That happens with some very popular courses. I'm not 100% certain of the editing specifically, but it has happened in the back and before. Alternatively, you can also, if you really want to just know what the course is all about, I would maybe connect with the instructor, send them a quick note, and unfortunately I can't take your course, but if you can send me the course outline, and then that way you can take a look at sort of like the readings or all the information that you would have learned there, and that might give you a little idea of what's happening there. And possibly they might have other suggestions, maybe similar courses in a different school or a different program that you could do. Additionally, since I'm talking about courses in graduate courses and undergraduate courses, just as a quick tip, if you are interested in taking undergraduate courses, you will not get credit for that. But as a graduate student, you are able to audit, I think it's two undergraduate courses, up to two undergraduate courses per year, if you just need some more knowledge in a particular area. So let's say there's a particular undergraduate school that has a course you like, and it will really help your research. Just send us an email to your program to the program emails, and then we'll also let you know the process. But basically, you just have to let us know you want to maybe audit the class. You contacted the instructor, and the instructor is okay with letting you just be in the class to learn without getting a grade. Because basically, when you audit a class, you don't get a grade. You just shows in your transcript as an AUD for audit. You usually don't have to complete the final exam. Just assignments and stuff like that. Sometimes you do. You can discuss that with the instructor, but that gives you the opportunity to just to get that knowledge that maybe you're looking for. So Danielle, for that editing class, there might be a second version of the undergrad that you may be able to audit on a different thing. So again, we can look at that as an option as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. All right, Edwina, I'm in a post-grad interior design, and none of these courses are part of my program. Do I choose one of them, and how do I find my program coordinator to price director signing? Yes, so specifically for the interior design program, they don't offer electives. So the courses that are electives that are required are designed, or in a sense, they're expected to be from a different program. So definitely take a look at the creative school graduate electives page and see which one is more relevant to your research. I think the idea behind that is to try to expand different types of knowledge in different areas so that you understand different things outside your program. Because with that particular program in mind, is a postgraduate, post-professional, sorry. So you, in a sense, you should have a lot of that interior design knowledge already, and so they wanted to expand that a little bit broader with other types of electives, which is why they don't actually offer a particular interior design elective. But again, follow up, send us a quick email if you're still trying to figure it out. I keep saying send us an email, and I know we're a little bit behind on the emails, guys. We're trying to respond as soon as we can, but we'll get to you. Now, don't stress too much about it. We still have a couple of weeks until the first week of classes, and enrollment can happen all up to September 13th. So we still have some time to do that. So don't worry if you're a little slow. We're still on time, and everything should be good. I'm going to pause the chat for a second. Praise, you have your hand up. Let me know what the question is. Go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Oh, hello. I was just repeating the question I asked in the chat. I haven't been able to access my Gmail, but someone in the chat was sending a link. So for me, it's been saying I don't have access to that service yet, but I don't know if other people have been able to set up their own Met email and online identity. I don't know if we have access to that yet.
Yeah,
So that
so
was my question.
no, thank you for that. So basically, a couple of things have to happen. So you cannot activate your online identity. I'm trying to remember the process here. You cannot update your online. You cannot activate your online identity until you have been matriculated. So because basically that converts your admissions application account into a student account. At that point, the system will then know that yes, you're a student coming into a particular program at TMU. After that, it should allow you to activate your email. And I think the easiest way to actually, if you've already activated your identity or tried to activate your identity as in terms of like you're coming to my service hub. Is it my service hub .ca account or my service hub account? Once you've already access to that, then all you have to do afterwards is once you log in, there's a tab at the top. It's called apps. If you click on apps, once it opens, there'll be a section called you'll see Gmail in there. I think the easiest way to do it is just click on Gmail. You will then open up your TMU email account. It's not very intuitive. But once you have access to my service hub and you're able to log in, everything is good. Just look for that what's called apps tab, and you should be able to do it. Let's see if mine's a little bit different. Let me see if I can show you my service hub.
Is it also in the Met email that we can see like the form for the electives?
Right. Good question. So right now, any email with any communication we are sending, if we have your TMU email and also your personal, we're sending it to both. If we only have your personal email, we're sending it to that one right now. So because we know everybody's kind of halfway through the process of activating and getting all that kind of stuff. So most of the emails we sent out has gone to either both or just your personal email account. So this is, I mean, you can kind of see here, this is my service hub, my service hub. Once you log in, that's what it looks like. Because you have all these different, you may have less options than I do because I'm staff, but it looks something like this. So you will at the top look for apps, and then you'll see the first thing comes up is Gmail. So once you get there and you click on this, that if it's active already, you click on that, it will take you straight to your account. Because Gmail is the TMU email provider. That's why it's called, it says Gmail on there. If it hasn't been activated, you'll click on that and it will probably give you prompts to how to activate and just complete some information, and then allows you to choose your ID and stuff like that. So that's one thing. If that doesn't work, let's see the other option. And that is probably the link that went on the chat. Identity. So so this is the other portion. So if you don't have that Gmail thing in there and you cannot connect it, you cannot activate it, then I would urge you to kind of follow these steps right here, and I'll put this in the chat so you can start activating that way. You basically start over here with activate your online activation form. So that's kind of the two ways of doing it. If you're still having issues, I would say just send us an email to the program, and we'll connect you with the computer text IT staff, and then they can sort of help you with more specific. There may be something else that's holding it back. Again, the important thing is that you've completed all the admission requirements, that you submit your transcripts, all that kind of stuff, so that your account has been converted to a student account, and then you can complete these two options that I just put in there. Does that that make sense? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. And I just put in that that link on the chat as well at the bottom. All right, so let me go back to where I was. I have no idea where I was. So many questions, guys. I like it. Okay. What's the best way to connect with an academic advisor in regards to discussing electives and courses? That'll be, again, sending a quick email to the program email for now, and then we'll kind of either figure out a way to answer your question. Now, one thing I'll mention is you guys haven't gone through your program-specific orientations yet, because those are happening next week. It is likely that a lot of the questions that you have about academics or the courses or what's the best elective and those kinds of things will either be answered or they'll be discussed during the program-specific orientation. So feel free to send us an email. Like I said, we're happy to answer as soon as we can. But if you have an answer and you go to your academic orientation, you may be able to get the answer there as well. And like I said, we're still lots of time to enroll you and add you and make modifications to your schedule. So it's okay to wait until the orientation if you have to. We usually send that course selection with a deadline of the 23rd, so before the orientations, just so we can have an idea as to what people are sort of looking for in electives and stuff, but we can always make changes after if needed. Any change after that will be via email, so just make sure you use our program emails to contact us, and then we can go from there. Next, how do I know if my previous student ID card is still active? How do I reactivate it? I would suggest for that, just email the One Card office. And I will find the email for you in a second. Normally they are, and it's pretty strict. Basically, as soon as your student account is activated, your One Card will reactivate it because it's the same number. But I will put in the email on the chat just directly to that question. I think that's for Ivan. Just responded directly in your question for that. And that just their email is onecard@torontomeu.ca. So it's pretty straightforward. Next, once you submit the form and get approval, do we sign up ourselves through my service or is it automatically put in? Like I mentioned before, we enroll you in courses. Don't enroll yourself in courses. We'll do it at the program level. Just keep it simple. That's it. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that happens, so it just makes it easier if we do it that way. Speaking of enrollment, and we'll talk about this in the orientation sessions for the program, but you will see one course that you will see every single time, every semester that you're in the program is GD 1000. GD 1000 is not a course. It's just a placeholder in the system to indicate that you're enrolled in as a graduate student. Okay, so if at any point in time you don't see that, let us know. But you will see that as probably the first thing we'll enroll you in because it just activates you to say you're a student in the program. And that will apply to both full-time and part-time students. Now most of our students are all full-time. Only the PhD program has the part-time option.
Daniel, can I jump in and give you a related question to that?
Please.
There's a number of people who are asking, when will our course schedule and tuition information show up in my service hub?
Over the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, if we have enough times in the day to get that done this week, but it may be until next week. The deadline for most of the course selection forms is not until August 23rd, if you remember, if you receive an email about that. So we're still waiting for some of those to come up. So probably after the 23rd, I think is this Friday, if I remember correctly. So it's probably the Monday or Tuesday after that. We'll review everything and update anything that needs to be changed and enroll you. So over the next couple of weeks, as soon as I finish we finish with the program in terms of enrollment, we'll send you an email letting you know. I think the title is usually the program name and then course selection or course enrollment fall 2024, and then just telling you that it's being completed to check your schedule in my service hub, and at that point you can see it. The actual, well, the tentative schedules for most of your programs was included with the course selection form, so that should give you an idea of more or less when the courses are being offered, as well as where, because that's the buildings, the building and location and rooms are usually listed there. Most of them should be, I'm going to say 95% accurate. There might be one or two changes in courses here and there, based on instructor, availability or space availability, things like that. And that's where the My Service Hub schedule comes in, because that's usually the final one that will happen over the next couple of weeks. Thank you, Marnie, for that.
Yeah. Can I shoot another one at you?
Go for it. I like this. Back and
Yeah.
forth. By the way, this is Marnie Gilbert. She's part of our team, so she knows all this stuff. It's great. Thanks, Marnie.
So a question right from the start. What supports do you have available for mature students?
Great question. The same ones we have for everyone else. Sorry, it's a weird answer, but I'm trying to figure out what is it that you're looking for more than anything. And maybe whoever asked that question can kind of add us, send a follow-up or just raise your hand. There's no, I'm trying to think how to phrase it, but there's really not a lot of differences in terms of mature student. You came out right of undergrad, or you waited 10 years or 15 or 20 years, 30 years. I think the oldest students have sort of, the range goes from like straight out of university, I think it's 85, I think was a graduate student that graduated, I want to say about 5 years ago. So it's a really broad range. All the services that we've saw today and all the services listed on the graduate student resources page are available to everyone. So really is more about question of what exactly so you need or what you're looking for. Feel free to let us know right now. If not, send us a quick email, and I'm happy to connect you with the right person once I know more or less about the specifics that you need. One of the things I think that happens sometimes with in grad school is, and I think Mira mentioned it earlier in the student life support, is everybody's kind of focused on the research, on their thesis, on their MRP, on their projects, and kind of there's a little bit of that kind of tunnel sort of vision that happens. And I think community is really what everybody will need. So I would suggest, especially as a mature student, maybe you're having harder time connecting with younger generations, or you've been outside of school for a lot longer, so it's very different. So I think the best option is to participate in all those events, networking events, join the Catalyst, hang out at the Catalyst to meet new people and get familiar again with how everybody's doing, and just having that connection and camaraderie will probably help help you go into the graduate program a little easier than just trying to do it on your own, which tends to be a little bit harder. So again, just as a general advice, but if there's a specific sort of thing that you're looking for, let us know, and then we can look at that.
Okay, and one more.
Another one, Marnie?
Yeah, just going back to course selection. What if you didn't receive a course selection form? Like if you're in the Masters of Journalism or Masters of Fine Arts in Script Writing?
Yes, the script writing, first year journalism, and FPPCM or film photo preservation, they would not receive that because there's no electives. Those are the ones I'm trying to complete enrollment for first. I believe film photo preservation is done. So journalism and script writing will be next. And over the next couple of days, I should be able to complete that. So you have your schedule this week. I think journalism has 4 classes, if I remember off the top of my head, and script writing has 3 to enroll, about 3 hours each. But I will send you the schedule this week as soon as we finish enrollment. I promise.
Oh, I found another one.
Go for it.
Question about auditing courses.
Like, can we do it? Is that the question?
Well, can we? And if we choose to, do we need to pay for the course? Is specifically the question here.
Yes, we can. Up to 2. You can audit up to 2 courses per year, I believe. And no, you don't have to pay. Tuition is flat rate, so it's the same cost regardless of the number of courses. So that's one big difference between graduate student and undergraduate student. Undergraduate student is based on what they call billing units, which has to do with basically how many courses you're taking. With the graduate students, it's a flat rate for the year. It's split into 3 payments: fall, winter, spring, and that's your tuition. So, for example, a lot of the programs will have maybe 4 courses in the fall, maybe 3 courses in the winter, and maybe no courses in the spring, summer, because you're working on your final MRP and your research and all that kind of thing. And it's the same sort of flat rate for all those 3 terms. There is the fall term tends to be a tiny bit more because it includes an additional fee for the health plan, the university health plan that you're part of, every student is part of. But other than that, it's basically a flat rate. It's split into three payments. If you're in a program that is 5 semesters, so you have a full payment for the first 3 for the first year, so fall, winter, spring, and then for the second year, you may only be fall and winter. So you only pay for the basically 2/3 of the second year. Hopefully that answers that one. Any other ones, Marnie? Or can I follow on the chat now?
Yeah, I think that's it. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah. At the end of the chat, there's a couple more that just popped up.
Okay. I'll catch up in a second. There's a question here about I did receive the course selection form, but not all courses are offered and not shown in the form. This is particular for media production. Yes, that usually means that if the course is on the calendar on the website, but is not on the course selection we sent you, it means that particular course is not offered this semester in the fall. It might be offered in the winter. It might be offered next year. It does depend. Unfortunately, we have way too many courses. And if we offer every single course, we probably have 1 student in each class, and we can't have that, as you can imagine. So they try to stack them or kind of change them depending on instructor availability and what the students kind of want to take. What's next? After several years in between my BA and my MA, what sort of things do those hiring for TAGA positions look for in terms of experience and consideration? It would vary depending on the position, but I would say it's just like applying to any job. You want to showcase your skills that you have that will benefit that particular posting. So, for example, if you're applying to a GA-ship as a great grading, so all you're going to do during that position will be grading papers and things like that, and it's for a biology class, then hopefully you have a background in biology, and maybe you have maybe some experience with grading, or maybe at the very least have really good grades in biology or lots of experience. Maybe your BA was in biology, and you can prove that, right? Now I use biology as the example because you can apply to any TA or GA position in the university. It does not have to be in your school. It doesn't have to be in your program, as long as you have the educational background or the skills to be able to showcase that you can complete that particular job, right? So I would just suggest you read the posting carefully and highlight the things in that posting that you can then add to your resume or CV so that they're easily matched. And then the instructor can quickly look and say, oh, I'm looking for someone who can grade. Oh, this person graded 3 times already. Oh, I'm looking for someone who can, I don't know, set up a 4K camera. Oh, great. This person worked in film before. So those kinds of things, there's a variety of positions. So just take a look at the posting, and that'll be your best way to do that. How do we know the class timings are or schedule? So that'll be posted on my service hub once we send you the email. Oh, and I think I missed part of the question, Marnie, that you asked before about tuition. So tuition is added to my service hub, usually within 24, 48 hours after your schedule is complete. And then you'll see when you log into my service hub, you'll be able to see your balance. If it's a positive balance, it's tuition you owe. If it's a negative balance or a credit, it means that you either overpaid and you can leave that money there for the next term and it would be applied to the following tuition, or you can request a refund if you see that in your My Service Hub account. All right, so I'm just catching up with all of these here. All right, I think I'm falling behind here, almost there. Okay, for those students who received a TA or GA position as part of your funding package. So when you receive your offer of admission, you might also receive that email saying, "Hey, we have also selected you for a GA or TA position." I would just wait for information from the program, and that will let you know exactly which position and which term and who the instructor will be that you're going to be working with. We'll let you know over the next few weeks. For those ones we usually have to wait until the undergrad departments sort of figure out their needs. Once we have them, then usually the program director in the program will connect you with the right position based on your application and your background, and then we'll notify you, and then you can go from there, and everybody's happy. Hopefully. Now, some of those positions maybe happen in the fall. Some of those positions may happen in the winter, or a combination of both, depending on your particular situation. Like as an elective option, how this guarantee? Okay, so if we received funding as part of our great question. So this is for tuition payments. So once your schedule is done, you'll see the tuition balance due for this term. Usually the funding that you were offered as part of your admissions offer will not be added into the account until the second or third week of September. And it usually happens like this, usually between the second and third week of each term, that's when your funding gets added. So if you're looking to pay your tuition, you want to basically grab the amount that you owe and then subtract a third of the funding amount that you receive, and then to pay the difference, right? So for example, if my tuition is, just to make it easy, I'm going to say $5,000, and my total funding for the program was, let's say, $3,000. Usually funding is split into 3 payments, just like tuition is. So in your first semester, you're going to get 1,000, second, you're going to get 1,000, and third one, you get 1,000. So for your first fall term, if you owe $5,000, then you subtract the $1,000 of the funding for that term, and then you pay 4,000, and then that should clear out your account once the funding gets added to your My Service Hub account. As long as you pay and you have basically no balance owed before the end of the month, you will not be charged any late fees. So really you have sort of until the end of September to make sure everything's cleared down to 0, and then you should be fine. There shouldn't be any issues. Okay. So it does take a little bit of time to process all the funding. I'm not an accountant, but there's a lot of stuff happens in the back end for taxes and all that kind of stuff. So that's why it takes a little bit longer. And so just take a look at your account before the end of the month, maybe about a week or 2 before, to make sure it's zeroed, and then you should be good. When submitting payments, keep in mind that it takes, depending on your bank, between 3 and 5 business days to actually receive the payment at TMU. Some banks are faster than others. Sometimes they'll have it the next days, but some other banks, for some reason, they take 3 days. Sometimes they take up to 5 business days. So whenever you're submitting your payments, give yourself that extra time, just in case there's a delay in terms of transferring funds between your bank and the university, because it does take a little bit of time for the system to catch up with the payments. Okay, catching up here. There's a question about where you can access. I don't know if you've answered already, but where can we access TAGA postings? I'm just gonna put the link on the chat just in case you guys all have it. And there's really multiple ways. The easiest way is the one I'm gonna post in here right now, and that's basically the job website, torontomu.ca/careers. Now, with that being said, those are usually the ones that I just posted, and then you apply and you get the job. In other cases, like I said, the program will contact you once for those that are guaranteed, and those are the ones that usually the program's kind of set aside. And then the third way is contact once you know your instructors or your supervisors or people in the university, chat with them, talk with them, and they might need some assistance as well. And then that's also good for things like research assistantships and stuff like that, because you can sort of match your research with a particular instructor that has maybe a grant or has a need for a research assistant. And so make sure that you network, chat with them, talk to people that are in your area. You can usually find all their bios and information on the websites. So you can take a look and see who would be a good person to chat, and take them out for a coffee and see what happens there. Because there's a lot of things that maybe not posted right now or live right now, but if you know someone and you network with them, they may have something come up next semester or the following, and then you can connect that way as well. So just to give you an idea of that. So I'm looking at questions for GA. Thank you for answering all those, Marnie.
There's one there
Yep.
from Matrick. That's a good one. That's TAGA related. For those SILT workshops, do we have to be a TAGA to enroll? Can I take those and they can help me get a TAGA position next year?
Great question. I believe you can. I'm just looking at, I'm just trying to find their website so we can post it here again. There's probably going to be one, or because there's a range of workshops they have. I would say yes, apply, take them, because it can only help you have more experience when you apply to a position, to say, yes, maybe I haven't TA before, it's my first time, but hey, I took this the SILT course and the workshops, I have a background, and I have the academic background in terms of my schooling, so then that can help you get that position. Yes, definitely do that. In terms of which courses you can and you cannot take, I think based on the presentation, I would say you can probably take all of them. So I would just go and apply, and they will let you know otherwise. But as far as I know, most of them are open as long as you're a full-time student. There may be one or two that are specific for already, TAs that are hired or GAs that are hired, because some of them are more of a orientation than an actual course. Whereas specifically for the SILT workshops, I would say you're probably okay to go for it and apply.
And I've got another question that I don't actually remember the answer to, but how do you look in My Service Hub to see what courses are running during the semester? So for example, if you're looking at auditing a course and you want to see the undergraduate courses that are running as well.
That's a great question. And I usually hide the answer, so I won't tell you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just finding it as I talk. Here we go. And by the way, whenever you have a question like that and you have no clue how to do something in the university system, the easiest thing to do is go to the TMU website and search. How do I search for classes? I'm not kidding. That's exactly what I just searched, and this is what comes up. I just put that in the chat, and I'm going to share it here quickly, just so everybody sees what I'm looking at. There we go. And so, yeah, so basically from the main website, what you want to do is go into search here, type what you want to do. So you can see my search, how to search for classes, and then usually something related will come up. So the first link that come up in this thing is this, how to search classes. And this will give you a whole tutorial on how to go step by step to looking for specific classes. Now, it's easy to do, and I would encourage you to do it, but only to find out instructors maybe, or where the class is taking place, or things like that. Do not use this to enroll yourselves, because again, it might create some issues in the back end in terms of enrollment. So only use it up to the point where it says where the class is, get more information, and that'll be your best option just to find out for those examples that Marty mentioned. So trying to maybe you want to audit a class, or trying to figure out who the instructor is, what time or location, that'll be your best tool to do that. But enrollment, leave that to the program office, please. All right. Thank you, Marty, for that. Any other questions that I'm missing? There's a lot in here that I see some of them have been answered, but let me know if I missed your question. Feel free to unmute or just point it out in my direction, because I'm going through it. I'm trying to find things. Yes. Okay, I think that's then all of them. We will next week, like I said, we will actually starting this week? No. Yeah, starting this week, we will be having some program-specific orientations, and I'm sure we'll cover some of this stuff we just talked about. But again, repetition is a good way to learn, so I don't mind doing that again for you guys. But if anything else is missing, or again, I forgot any questions or things like that, just send us an email to the program email addresses. One, I want to leave you though with a beautiful page that will be very useful for you guys throughout your academic career. And that's on the chat right now. This is the graduate students resources page. Basically, what we've done over the last, I want to say 3-4 years, is try to combine all the resources from all over the university in this website, and try to sort of separate it based on different needs. So you see at the very top, first steps when you first arrive, what do I have to do? And we'll have a lot of information and links to that. Financial resources, wellness, experiential. There's an international student section in there as well, very useful. With a whole, there's also an international student guide, post-grad resources, and as well at the very bottom, if you need to contact us, there is all our program emails, so that you can reach out to your program if you are ever unsure. So highly encourage you to bookmark this, engrave it in your browser, tattoo it if you want to, and use it. Because and if there's anything in there that say, hey, you know what, I found this and it saved my life, and it's not on that resources page, send me an email or send us an email, and we'll try to add it for everybody else to use. Because that's actually, if I'm being honest, that's exactly how this page came about. Because a couple of students I was working with, they're like, oh, I wish everything was in one place, and they keep finding all these really good resources for everyone. And so here we are, we're putting them in all this page right there for you guys. So all right, guys, thank you very much. Again, welcome to the program. Really excited to have you here, and we'll see you at the program specific orientations over the next few weeks. So thank you.